here this evening for the US Grand Prix. Just a few little driver changes to go through with you this evening. Gary is not racing this evening for Ferrari. He's going to be replaced by Luke. Devon is not going to be racing for Red Bull. He's going to be replaced by a newcomer to the league, which is Elijah. We got Andrew in the McLaren permanently now, replacing Panagiotis. Neither Renault driver, that's Jorge and Dan, will be racing this evening. So we have Kyle and Arthur racing for Renault this evening. Also as well, Luke is no longer racing for Toro Rosso. He's been permanently replaced by Jamie Keats. Kyle in the Alfa Romeo is not going to be racing for the rest of the season, is what I've been told. He's been replaced this evening by Anthony Bauer. We've got no Phil in the Haas either. We have Thomas Edwards instead. So you join us here at the fabulous racetrack here in Austin, Texas. The 10th track in history to host the United States Grand Prix. And normal setup, we've got 20 drivers in the session. The bottom 5 will drop out of this session, leaving the top 15 to go through to Q2. So we've got a few cars heading out on tracks. Here is Jamie Keats in the Toro Rosso. We've seen him a couple of times in the McLaren. Had a few great races there with the other Jamie. But this evening he is racing here for Toro Rosso. So let's see how we can get on with that. Another midfield team, but with the Honda power instead of the Renault power. Like I said, it is a brilliant racetrack here. It's actually was designed to include some of the best corners from different racetracks around the world and different sections of racetrack from other racetracks around the world. I will try and point some of them out to you as we go around. But it joined the calendar in 2012 and it's been universally popular by a lot of the drivers, so they very much approve. A Herman Tilke designed track. Herman Tilke has not always been the most popular designer in Formula 1, but he seems to have got it right with this track. So here comes Jamie Keats, about to start his first flying lap. He's on the soft tyres, of course. And also as well, I've just noticed that we don't have Kyle in the Renault. We actually have Kieran making his return to the league. Raced for Red Bull earlier on in the season, and we've already got a penalty handed out to Fraser McKenzie. He's been involved in a collision with somebody. I saw the notification too late, so I didn't see who the accident was with, but he is going to receive a 5-place penalty on the grid, so Fraser McKenzie will be disappointed with that. Just a quick point that Fraser did want me to highlight this evening is that he has changed his race number this evening, and that is for his nan, who I believe it's today is a year since she's passed away. So if you see a different race number for Fraser, that is the reason why. He's paying his respects to his nan. So condolences to Fraser, and I hope you have a good race this evening. So here is Jamie, a little bit of traffic there. Hopefully that won't get in his way. It is one of the Williams. I think that is Fraser McKenzie as well. So he will want to get out of his way as quick as possible. But Fraser doesn't look like he is at the moment. So that is not going to please Jamie. He's having to go around. Oh, and he's still not getting out of the way. Well, that is not going to please Jamie at all. There's a lot of time there through that 4 apexed right-hander. And Fraser's heading to the pit, so he must have a bit of damage. Anthony Bauer's gone initially fastest. Jamie Keats goes into second place. Callum in the Ferrari, he is now on his outlap as well. Here is, and that's Thomas Edwards off the track in the Haas. He seems to have spun in the S's as Gregor goes fastest for Red Bull, but that is Thomas Edwards off. in the Haas. It's very, very difficult in those S's there. You've got to have a car that's well set up, or it's so easy to do that. A little bit of oversteering there, and it's so easy to spin round. And that seems to be what has happened there to Thomas Edwards. That is Jamie Callan in the McLaren. Had a few excellent races so far this season, the ones that I've commentated on. Here is Kieran coming across the line, and he goes into 4th place in the Renault, a 1:35 exactly. So drivers are set lap time. Gregor is currently fastest from Arthur Bowler, who is second. Sorry, Anthony Bauer second in the Alfa Romeo. Jamie Keats third, Kieran fourth, Andrew is fifth, and Arthur Bowler is sixth in the Renault. As Stephen, unusually for him going out very early, we see him waiting right to the end of the session, but he's gone out early. He goes fastest, over a second quicker than the Red Bull of Gregor in second place. Shout out to Gregor, by the way, he asked me to mention him. So hello Gregor, I hope you're watching the stream. Now I'm shouting out for you, but never mind. So let's see who else is on the lap. Here is Callum now on his lap. These are the S's. These are modelled on the Maggots and Beckett section at Silverstone. Gradually getting tighter, and you pop out over the top, take a lot of curb there on the exit, then you flick left, short straight, and brake hard. This is turn 11 on this racetrack. Very, very wide apex, but you've got to get the nose of the car in. Here is the DRS zone, the second one on the track, and it looks almost straight, that when you look at a map of the track, but from the exit of turn 11 you can't actually see the end of the straight where it does curve to the right, so it's more of a curve on there than people realise. Through this section here, which looks a lot like the stadium section in Germany, like Hockenheim here, with the way the corners double back on themselves. Then into this corner here, this is a 4 apex right-hander modelled on Istanbul's turn 8, which went to the left of course, but they've modelled it to go to the right here. And then this is another apex unique part of the track. As Callum runs a little bit wide there on the exit, but he still goes second on a 34.0. But look at the incline up into turn 1 here. Rises sharply uphill, very, very wide piece of track as well. Lots of different racing lines are possible through there. It makes for great racing throughout the race, and especially at the start. This is one of the newcomers. This is Elijah in the Red Bull. Oh, he's gone wide there. I won't be pleased with that. And indeed, he's abandoned his lap. So, not the best of starts here to his career for Talk of the Devil. Here is Joe Newman in the Racing Point. Let's see how he can get on. He's on his out lap. So is Ross Pilgrim in the Williams. Dean has now left the pits as well in the Mercedes. Here is Ant Waddington coming across the line in the Toro Rosso. And he goes up to second. Excellent lap time there from Ant. Quicker than Callum in the Ferrari. He'll be delighted with that. Ant Waddington in the Toro Rosso. We've already seen him do some excellent drives in that Toro Rosso. The last race I commentated on, which was Japan, he finished 4th, I believe. Had an excellent race there. Really is getting that Toro Rosso to punch well above his weight. So excellent lap time once again. Quicker than the Ferrari Callum. That won't please Callum very much. He is pitting. I thought he was staying out there. Jamie Callan likewise has gone 5th. And Arthur Bowler's gone back out immediately in that Renault. So he feels there's more speed to come. Here is Dean Harrison in the Mercedes. His brother and teammate is currently fastest on a 1:33.3, which is 7 tenths quicker than the rest of the field. So that will be his immediate aim, to get somewhere near his teammate. Also now out on track is the other newcomer here, Luke, in the Ferrari. Let's see how he can get on. Joe Newman is also on a lap as well in the Racing Point. Still waiting for a few cars to come out. Gareth Lambourne hasn't come out yet in the Alfa Romeo. Neither has Jimmy in the Haas. Fraser McKenzie, we saw him come out on track but we saw him also get the penalty. I'm just going to see who he did actually collide with. Let's have a look there. He collided with Anthony Bauer. So, and also Ross Pilgrim's had his lap disallowed. So he is on a lap, but it has been disallowed. I think he might have cut the last corner or maybe the second to last corner. So, good effort there from Anthony Bauer. As Dean goes second, just 3/10 off his teammate. He'll be pleased with that. But Anthony Bauer, good result from him, considering that collision with Fraser. He's 7th at the moment, quicker than one of the McLaren, so he'll be very pleased with that. Here is Joe Newman, coming through one of the last corners here. So quick on the exit, about 170 miles an hour. Then you've got to get it over to the right-hand side, then brake, then immediately turn left. So into the last corner as Joe Newman, that lap time was also disallowed from him as well. So he must have made a mistake somewhere. Jimmy is now out on track as well. Still waiting for Gareth Lambourne to leave the pits. So he's leaving it quite late. We've got 7.5 minutes to go in this session. The latest weather report I've heard, by the way, is that it is going to be dry. But I'm going to try and see if I can get an updated one, see if the race is going to be dry. So it looks a bit cloudy and murky out there, doesn't it? It doesn't look like it's completely clear weather. So let's see how they get on. This is the Ferrari of Luke. How can he do on his first lap? His teammate's on the 34.0, also on the soft tyres. And look at that, 1,000th of a second quicker. So Luke will be delighted with that, beating Callum on his first attempt to move up into 4th place. So current order, we've got a Mercedes 1-2 at the moment, and Waddington with an excellent effort in 3rd place. And we've got the two Ferraris 4th and 5th. Gregor 6th for Red Bull. Jamie Cannon is 7th for McLaren. Anthony Bauer is 8th in the Alfa Romeo, and Andrew 9th, and Jamie Keats is 10th in the Toro Rosso, who's going back out on track. Kieran 11th for Renault. Michael Booker, unseen by me, has gone 12th for Racing Point. Arthur Bowler's gone 13th, and Thomas Edwards, we saw him make that mistake, but and that's Kieran off. I'm not sure what's happened now. I think he was maybe trying to get out of the way. He's on his out lap. Thomas Edwards has gone 14th. There he is off again despite that mistake, as someone else has just jumped up the order. That's Joe Newman's gone 7th. So good effort from him in that Racing Point. Here is Jimmy now on a lap as well in the Haas. Let's see how he can get on. As Arthur's left the session, I think he's having some technical issues. I'm just trying to find out. I believe actually Gareth may have a qualifying ban. So if that's the case, then he will be starting at the back of the grid. I do believe from the last race in Mexico, he got a qualifying ban. So Gareth here looks like he will definitely be starting at the back. Here is Jimmy. Let's see what lap time he can do. He's in the last sector now. Look at that, a little bit of oversteer there through that long right-hander. A lot of curb there. A lot of room to spare on the exit though, so a little bit more time to be found yet. Let's have a look what this lap time is as Jimmy crosses the line, and that does a 36.1, but the lap time has been disallowed. So Fraser McKenzie back out on track as well. So yes, I do believe Gareth Lambourne has got a qualifying ban. That's why he's not out. We've got 4.5 minutes of qualifying to go of Q1. Only 3 cars to lap time. Gareth, like I said, with the qualifying ban. Jimmy, who's had a lap disallowed. And Fraser McKenzie, we've seen him come out, have an incident with that Anthony Bauer. And now he's out again on his second attempt. Here is Thomas Edwards going again here in the Haas. He's currently in 16th position. Ross Pilgrim as well in the Williams is out. He's not on a lap at the moment. I think he might be trying to warm up for one in that Williams. Here is Michael Booker in the Racing Point. He is 13th at the moment. Kieran is also out. Let's see how he's doing. He's 4,000ths of a second down in the first sector. Comes down to the end of the straight. Very, very important to get your braking right there. It's so easy to run right. He's a 10th up. At the moment, that would keep him 12th, but if he can find a little bit more time, he should move up. Arthur's managed to rejoin the session, and he needs to as well. He's right on the bubble with 3.5 minutes to go. So here comes Kieran into the last couple of corners. Can he improve? He's on a 1:35 exactly. He's sitting in 12th. He wants to get himself up there. Ross Pilgrim goes into 15th in the Williams. And Kieran does improve but remains where he is. Sorry, Jimmy, he moved up to 14th. Jimmy in the Haas has gone 14th. Kieran improved by half a tenth, but it wasn't enough to move him up a place. He's still in 12th position. Here is Fraser McKenzie. On his lap now. Let's see what he can do. Coming down the back straight. There we can see the change of number on his car, number 37. Like I said, that's in honour of his nan. Let's see how he can get on. He'll be looking to get into Q2 here, but don't forget he has got that 5-place grid penalty. And yes, I've just been confirmed that Gareth has got a qualifying ban, so he will not be taking part in qualifying here. Anthony Bauer's gone up to 6th. That's a great effort from him in the Alfa Romeo. Here comes Fraser McKenzie. What lap time can he do? He goes 60. He's quicker than his teammate, who I don't think he's going to be able to get out in time. So Fraser McKenzie goes 16th, and he might just be out qualifying his teammate here. Here is Jimmy going again in the Haas. He's currently 15th, and he does improve, but he remains 15th. He's just behind Elijah in the Red Bull in 14th place, who's out as well, but he's not on a quick lap. I think he might be trying to warm up for a quick lap here. Jamie Keats is out as well in 11th place at the moment in that Toro Rosso. So he's also on a wind-up lap. Now on his flying lap. Let's see if he can improve. I'm going to see if I can ride on board with him. Here we see up into turn 1. Very steep incline there. 55 miles around the airport. A lot of oversteer there as he tries to get somewhere out. This is turn 2. Absolutely flat. And yes, he's backed out of this lap, so it's can't really ride on board with him. Which is a shame. I'd have liked to have an on-board lap with him. Here is Arthur Bowler. Let's see if we can have an on-board lap with him. Here we go. He's on his fine up now. This is turn 2, absolutely flat, up to about 170 miles an hour. Then look at these S's. You flick left, flick right, left again. Try and carry as much speed as you can. It tightens up. Oh, and he's off! No, sorry, a little bit of lag there. And this is the tightest one of the ball, about 80 miles an hour. You flick over to the left, let it run wide onto the curb. Accelerate hard through the little left-hand kick. The session is now over. So this is a crucial lap here for Arthur. He's currently 19th on a 1:37.3. This is the long back straight. So you can't see the end of the straight here. It looks like a gentle right-hand kick, but it does curve more than you realise. Up to over 200 miles an hour. Then hard on the brakes for this turn 12. 50 miles an hour on the apex. Get on the power as soon as you can. A lot of grip on the exit. Over to the left-hand side. 60 miles an hour for this right-hander here. And another right-hander. Look at this left. And just tightening left-hander at 65 miles an hour on that apex. And look at this, through this right hand, about 150. Balance the throttle a little bit, then back on the power immediately, up to about 175 by the exit. Over to the right-hand side. Take as much curb as you dare there, and he's backed out of this lap. So it doesn't look as if he's going to improve. And yes, he's backed out of the lap, so no one else is on a lap. So that is the session over. Cars going out at Gareth. Arthur, that's a bit of a surprise from him. He's got through to at least Q2 in the Sauber, Alfa Romeo, sorry, a few times, but he's out. Thomas Edwards in the Haas Ross Pilgrim, he'll be pleased with that though. He's 17th on the grid. Fraser McKenzie is 16th, but don't forget he has got that 5-place grid penalty, so he will actually start at the back. So that lifts Ross to 16th, Thomas to 17th, Arthur to 18th, Gareth to 19th, and Fraser McKenzie will start from the back of the grid with that 5-place grid penalty. So let's see what he can do from there. I would also just like to say to anyone watching me on the stream, if I cough, I apologise. I have had a streaming cold all week, and I didn't have much of a voice yesterday, so it's lucky that I'm able to commentate at all for you this evening. Then we see confirmation. Stephen quickest from Dean. Ant Wallington, fine effort in the Toro Rosso, 3rd. The 2 Ferraris, 4th and 5th. Anthony Barrow, another good effort from him as well in the Alfa Romeo to be 6th. Gregor 7th. Andrew 8th. Joe Newman 9th. And Jamie Callan rounds out the top 10. Like I said, the bottom 5. Ross Pilgrim will start 16th. Thomas Edwards will start 17th. Arthur Bowler 18th. Gareth, with the qualifying ban as well, didn't set a lap time, but he will start 19th. Fraser McKenzie 20th. And last, he qualified 16th, but he had the 5-place grid penalty for the accident with Anthony Bauer earlier on. So, into Q2. Again, we lose the bottom 5 from this session, just as a reminder to anyone. But for those who do make it through to Q3 here from this session, the tyres that you set the fastest lap time on in this session is the tyres you will start the race on. So we quite often see a bit of mixed strategies here. Some drivers going on to the medium tyres. We can already see Anthony Bauer in the Alfa Romeo and Callum Harrod as well, looking like they're going for the mediums, and Gregor Telford as well in the Red Bull. Andrew has gone immediately out in the McLaren. He's the first car to venture out onto track. Now we've seen a couple of times, we saw it in Russia as a couple of times, that a few drivers went to the medium tyres and they couldn't get out of Q2, and I believe, if I remember serving correctly, that Anthony Bauer was one of them. So he's done it again, taking a bit of a gamble here. Luke has gone out on the Ferrari on a set of softs, so split strategies for Ferrari. Luke out on the softs, Callum has gone out on a set of mediums. Again, it looks like technical difficulties for Arthur, but he's not in Q2, so hopefully he can get back in time. Michael Booker gone out as well on a set of softs, so definite mixed strategies. At the moment, 4 cars have gone out on medium tyres. That's both Red Bulls of Gregor and Elijah, the Ferrari of Callum, and the Alfa Romeo of Anthony Bauer. They are the 4 cars that have gone out on a set of mediums. So let's just keep an eye on them. They won't want to be risking their top 10 position. We've seen Callum a couple of times have to hurriedly go out of the pits again on a set of softs just in case, towards the end of Q2. Luckily for him, he hasn't been in that position where he's had to set a lap time and complete a lap time. So, and well, Andrew going very, very slowly there on the run up to the last corner, really trying to look after those soft tyres. He turns everything up as he now comes across the line to start his first flying lap, the first flying lap of Q2 here. That's the first DRS zone as well, up to turn 1. Runner there through the long turn 2. Brilliant series of corners here. In the dry, it is brilliant. In the wet, it's frankly terrifying. Trying to slide through these wiggling corners. Car on the limit of traction in the dry. In the wet, it is a lot slower. That's why in the wet you see lap times well over 2 minutes sometimes, whereas in the dry we're down at just over 90 seconds. Up into turn 11, nicely hit the apex there. Excuse me, as he comes down this curving back straight once again. DRS open now. Most of the cars hitting well over 200 miles an hour. There's the McLaren you see hitting 203 miles an hour on the run down to turn 12. Again, nice bit of curve. That car is turning in well. I think I've noticed a few times with Andrew, he really gets the nose of the car set up nicely. Like it's a very pointy car, and he's certainly got one there, really turning in nicely. and good on traction as well. Through this long right-hander. Again, another corner in the wet is frankly terrifying, but in the dry it feels amazing to drive when you've got the car hooked up. Up into the final corner. Slight increase in the height there. Slight incline. And actually that lap time was disallowed. So just as I was saying how good it was, commentator's curse strikes again. And he doesn't complete a lap. Here is Kieran as Anthony Barrow goes fastest on a 35.4. Quite a bit off what he did on the soft tyres. Let's see if it's enough. Kieran running very, very wide there in the Renault. Nice to see Kieran back in the league. Callum goes fastest on a 34.1. And this time he's faster than his teammate despite being on harder tyres. Callum only a tenth off what he managed on the soft tyres. So good effort there from Callum. Here comes Kieran. He goes third. Only a fraction off of Luke's time. So, but yeah, like I said, it's really nice to see Kieran back in the league. Not quite being the same place without him. He's a good lad. And it's great to see him back racing for Renault here this weekend. And hopefully we'll see a bit more of him as the season goes on. This is Jamie Keats in the Toro Rosso. Coming through the final sector. Such difficult, complex corners to get right there. So easy to lock a front tyre and just drift wide. Joe Newman goes fastest for the Racing Point. That's an impressive lap time. A 1:34.0. We have seen this from the Racing Points. There is the odd flash of pace from them. And that's a very, very good lap time. 34.0. That's up there with what the Ferraris were doing in the first session. Jamie Keats goes third for Toro Rosso. He splits the Ferraris. Let's see. Here is Gregor. He's also now in the final sector. So his teammates on a 36.4 is currently 7th on those medium tyres. Let's see what Gregor can do. Through this long, long right-hander. Right on the edge of traction. And he has a little bit of oversteer on the exit. I have noticed Gregor does seem to have a bit of an oversteering car in pretty much every race I see him in. And he goes into 8th. He's slower than his teammate. 38.3. Where's Michael? Here's Michael Booker now coming into the final corner. He's on the soft tyres, running a little bit wide in the final corner. But he moves up to 6th on a 34.8. So he'll be pleased with that. Dean Harrison looks like he's going on to a set of medium tyres as well. And Andrew's had 2 laps now disallowed in that McLaren. So he's still got a little bit of fuel on board. So let's see how he can get on this time. Can he this time have a lap be allowed? So 2 laps so far disallowed. Ant Waddington going out on track now. So is Jamie Cullen. They're both on their out laps. So let's see what Andrew can do. Got 8 minutes of qualifying to go. Nine drivers have set a lap time so far. Joe Newman, amazingly fastest for Racing Point. Let's have a look. Andrew goes up to 7th on a 35.1. So finally he gets a lap time in. Very interesting though that he's obviously had quite a lot of fuel on board, and even with the tyres that are 3 laps old, pushing them hard, he managed to get up there ahead of the Alfa Romeo on the same tyres. So good effort from him. This is Jamie Cullen into sector 2. Again gets that car nicely turned in. We're going to ride on board with Jamie. Let's see how that car is handling down this back straight. Heading up to over 200 miles an hour here. Actually, not quite hitting 200. Well, you're just hitting 200 miles an hour. So a little bit slower than some of the seeing, suggesting that he's got a car better for handling rather than straight line speed here. The McLaren with the Renault engine does struggle a little bit with straight line speed. It is down on power compared to the rest, even the Honda, we understand. So Jamie deciding to just go with a handling setup rather than straight line speed. So let's have a look. Jamie Cullen now crosses the line and he goes up to 2nd. Very good lap from him in the McLaren. Only a fraction slower than Joe Newman. he'll be pleased with that. Here is Ant Waddington now in the Toro Rosso. Also, Jimmy is also on a lap. Stephen still in the pits. He's leaving it to the last minute once again. We've got 6 minutes to go. So Dean also on a lap in the Mercedes. He's gone onto the medium tyres. Gregor's stayed out. He's 2 seconds up at the moment, but that's only going to lift him ahead of his teammate and into the top 10 at the moment. So can't help thinking that both Red Bulls are going to go out on a set of soft tyres here, because they're not quick enough on those medium tyres to get through. And yes, Gregor goes up to 10th place and immediately gets displaced to 11th, because Ant Waddington has set a stunning lap time in the Toro Rosso, a 1:33.9 to go fastest of all. So who would have thought a Toro Rosso and a Racing Point first and second at the moment? Who would have thought that at the start of the session? Jimmy crosses the line. He does a 36.7, but the lap time has been disallowed. Stephen's still in the pits. Here is Dean in the other Mercedes. He's coming through sector 3 now. So let's see what his lap time is. You would think his natural target will be Callum's lap time of a 34.1, because he's also on the medium tyres. So if he can get near that or quicker than that, that will be a good effort from Dean, as the McLaren gets nicely out of his way. I think that, yes, that is Jamie Callan. So good racing from him. They're getting very nicely out of his way as Dean crosses the line. And the lap time is disallowed. So a bit of a commentator's curse going on here. Every time I look at someone, the lap time is being disallowed. So come on, Jimmy. Prove me wrong here. Here we go. Got a couple of cars going back out. Anthony Bauer has gone back out on a set of soft tyres in that Alfa Romeo. So it hasn't worked for him on the mediums. Only one person at the moment on the medium tyres is actually through to Q3, and that is Callum Harrod in the Ferrari. So I think it is showing here with a lot of fast corners that we've got here at Austin. The soft tyres is such a big advantage here, because those medium tyres, they just don't have the initial grip that those soft tyres do. So can't help thinking, yes, Elijah in the Red Bull has gone onto a set of soft tyres. So I think, yes, he's gone straight out. Jimmy goes up to 10. So he knocks out Anthony Bauer, who's now on a lap. He's 2 tenths up at the moment in the first sector. So top 10 at the moment, Ant Waddington for Toro Rosso, Joe Newman for Racing Point, Jamie Callan third for McLaren, fourth is Callum Harrod, fifth is Jamie Keats, sixth is Luke in the second Ferrari, Kieran Riddle is seventh for Renault, Michael Booker is eighth for Racing Point, Andrew is ninth in the second McLaren, and 10th is Jimmy in the Haas. Got 3 minutes to go. I think he may just dive straight back in the pits and put on another set of soft tyres here, because I don't think it will be enough for him to get through, because Anthony Bauer here at the moment in 11th place in the Alfa Romeo is on a better lap and could be about to knock him down. He's got to find about 3 tenths. It'll move him up to 9th place. Just under 3 minutes to go. Here comes Anthony Bauer now across the line. And he goes fastest. What a lap time there. Well, it goes to show the difference between the softs and the mediums. Anthony Bauer in the Alfa Romeo goes fastest on a 1:33.9, 6 thousandths quicker than Ant Waddington. Stunning lap time. Dean has had 2 laps disallowed now. We've got 2 minutes to go. Still, Stephen Harrison has not. He has now just left the pits. That is brave from the current World Championship leader, because well, we've seen how easy it is and how many times we've seen cars with disallowed laps, and Stephen hasn't done a run yet, and he is leaving it right to the last second to do a lap. Literally 2 minutes to go. Here is Dean. Can he finally get a lap on the board? Well, he's got everything turned down, so I think he might even be going for another lap yet. The 2 Mercedes here, after looking so good in Q1, are under pressure here. Are they going to be able to get a lap time together and make it through to Q3 here? What a shock this would be if neither Mercedes make it through. So Dean now has turned everything up. Gets another lap disallowed, and this is now his 4th lap on this set of medium tyres, which is putting extra wear on those tyres. Don't forget, if he does make it through to Q3, he's going to start the race on these tyres. So there's an extra 3 laps on those tyres to what Callum's got, for example, on the same tyres. So putting himself at a bit of a disadvantage here. And Stephen has gone out on a set of softs. So splitting strategies again in the Mercedes. But look at that top 4 we've got. Alfa Romeo, Toro Rosso, Racing Point and McLaren. What a top 4 we've got there. As Greg has retired from the session, he is not going to improve. He is 13th at the moment, slowest of the cars who've set a lap time. I think he may have made a mistake somewhere because he was out on track. So Gregor has retired from the session. So he is not going to improve. We've also got Michael Booker, currently the car on the bubble, in 10th place. He is out on track. Likewise, Andrew and the McLaren. They've gone back out on brand new sets of soft tyres. Michael Booker is slightly quicker in the first sector. Let's see what Andrew can do. Can Dean finally get a lap time on the board here? This is going to be his last chance. We've got 1 second remaining, and that's it. The session is now over. Andrew didn't quite cross the line, so he's not going to get it. And Dean moves up into 9th. He's just in at the moment, but that might not be enough, because with other cars improving, let's see here. Here's Michael Booker. If he can improve by a 10th and a half, and he was a couple of tenths up in the first sector, that's going to knock Dean down another place. What a disaster this could be here for Mercedes. Here comes Michael Booker now crossing the line. And he goes 7th. He's done it, 34.3. Michael Booker is through at the moment. Let's see who else is out. This is the Red Bull. Yes, I don't think Andrew has done a lap. And the Red Bull has quit the lap, so he's not making a lap time here. Let's see what Stephen Harrison is doing. Is he going to make it through at the moment? But if he makes it through, he's going to knock his teammate out. As Andrew goes fastest, he did get it. 1:33.7. Here comes Stephen crossing the line. He also goes fastest on a 32.7, over a second quicker than anyone else. Well, can you believe it here? Gregor is slowest, but the shock of the day here is that Dean in the Mercedes is out in Q2. No one would have predicted that at the start of the day. The only other person on a lap at the moment is the second Ferrari of Luke. He's 10th at the moment, so he is through. Can he improve? He doesn't. He remains where he is. But who would have put money on that? Dean Harrison in the Mercedes is out in Q2. The other cars to be out there are Kieran in the Renault. He actually didn't go back out on the session, so he'll be regretting that decision. It starts 11th. Dean 12th for Mercedes. 13th for the Red Bull of Elijah in his first race in the league. So not a bad qualifying for him. He out-qualified his teammate. 14th for Jimmy in the Haas and 15th for Gregor in the second Red Bull. But wow, who would have thought that? A Mercedes out in Q2. So that's not going to help Stephen in the race. Dean's going to have to fight his way through the field. And of course, Stephen went out on the soft tyres, whereas Callum will start the race on the medium tyres. So that is going to be... that is going to be very interesting to watch through the race. Into Q3. Top 10 shootout here. Just a quick reminder, after this session we will have a 5-minute break before the race begins. "12 minutes of this session. We've got cars going out. This is Callum going out in the Ferrari. But I've got to say, some standout performances in Q2 there. Definitely Joe Newman in the Racing Point, also Ant Waddington, Andrew as well in the McLaren. All put up some very, very good lap times. Let's see if they can repeat it. Callum is out. Anthony Bauer is out. He also did well in Q2 to get through. So a few dark horses to look out for. Jamie Keats as well in the Toro Rosso. It's going to be a bit of a mixed-up grid here. I don't think we're going to see... Well, 2 Red Bulls are out and 1 Mercedes are out. So we could see a surprise front row here. Don't think it's going to be... I honestly don't think it's going to be a traditional top 3 teams on the front row. I think we could see a surprise here. So a few dark horses in the field to look out for. A couple of cars very close together there. Joe Newman and Andrew in the McLaren and the Racing Point. They're very close together on the racetrack at the moment. As are Jamie Keats and I think it's Anthony Bauer. But the first car on track I think is Anthony Bauer in the Alfa Romeo. So he's going to be the first car to set a lap time. But don't forget, as we've seen through this session, it's very, very easy to have a lap time disallowed. So look out for that in the race. Just one other quick point that I forgot to mention at the start of qualifying. It's all changed for Season 3 of Talk of the Devil, which starts in February next year. The managers of each team, there's going to be 5 managers having 2 teams each. They're going to have contracts offered to drivers. So a lot of these drivers will be very keen to impress in this race, because after this race, the managers will be allowed to offer contracts to any driver that they would like in their team. So it's a very important race, especially for a lot of the reserve drivers. For example, this man here, we're watching Anthony Bauer in the Alfa Romeo, and a few other drivers here who are reserve drivers. It's going to be a crucial race for them to impress and hope that they can get a contract for next season. And also the other big news regarding that as well is that Callum Harrod will not be fighting for another World Championship. He is going to be a manager as well. So big news from that. Callum Harrod has decided to hang up his racing gloves and become a manager. But that's for Season 3, like I said, starts on February the 1st. And also I will be your commentator as well for Season 3. So some of you may be pleased to know that, some of you may not. But here is Anthony Bauer now coming through Sector 3. He's going to be the first man to set a lap time. We saw McLaren coming out of the pits. And as always, I'm totally wrong. Luke is the first man to set a lap time in Q3. He goes fastest, and Callum immediately goes a lot faster, 32.5. That's the fastest lap we've seen in qualifying so far, a 1:32.5. Here is Anthony Bauer. He goes up to second on a 34.3. Jamie Keats goes second, 34.0. Here is Andrew in the McLaren. Where can he go? He goes 5th. So we got Stephen. Here is Joe Newman, one of the dark horses here for a very good starting position. And his lap time was disallowed. Like I said, it's so easy to do. Michael Booker is on his first lap. Here is Jamie Callan in the McLaren. Let's see what he can do here on his first lap. So currently, it's Callum from Jamie. Anthony is third, as Jamie has backed out of this lap. So maybe he had this lap disallowed. He's backed off. So he's not going to be setting a lap time. At the moment, Luke is 4th and Andrew is 5th. Here is Stephen on his quick lap in the Mercedes. Left it right to the last minute in Q2 to set a lap time. Come out a lot earlier here. Got 7 minutes of Q3 to go. Let's see what kind of lap times here people can produce. I mean, that one... That 1:32.5 by Callum is a very good lap time indeed. As Stephen crosses the line, he goes fast. He's on a 32.0, half a second quicker than Callum. That is a stunning lap time. I've also just been informed as well from Gareth Lambourne in the Alfa Romeo that he too is racing with a different number for this weekend as well. That is in honour of his grandfather as well. So a couple of different number changes here for this weekend. So look out for that in the race. And we'll try and find you, Gareth, through the race, so we can see your change of number. But Stephen fastest by half a second. Here is Jamie Callan. He is on his lap. Joe Newman as well. He also had his lap disallowed. So current grid is Stephen from Callum. Jamie Keats is third. Anthony Bauer is fourth. We've got Luke fifth for Ferrari. Andrew sixth for McLaren. Michael Booker is seventh, but not really a representative lap time. Must have made a mistake there somewhere. And then we've got 3 cars yet to set a lap time. This is one of them. This is Joe Newman. Let's see if I can find another one. Ant Waddington's on his first flying lap as well. Here is Jamie Callan now coming down this long back straight. There's the DRS open. You saw the movement there on the rear wing. Never seen that before, but that was pretty impressive. You saw the DRS activation working there, the mechanical system. So into turn 12. Let's see how he's getting on. Not a bad middle sector time from him. Callum's out very early. So Callum here in the Ferrari has gone out immediately with 5 minutes to go. So obviously feels there is more lap time to be found in that Ferrari and trying to beat the traffic that comes at the end of the session. So Jamie Callan now out of the second to last corner, braking down to the final corner, 60 miles an hour on the apex, as Jamie Callan crosses the line, and he goes third with a 1:33.8. But look at the gap between second and third here, well over a second. I have a feeling this man might get in that gap there. This is Ant Waddington in the Toro Rosso coming through to complete his first flying lap here in Q3. A little bit wide on the final corner, and he goes up to fifth. Excuse me, Joe Newman has abandoned his lap. He may just come straight back out again. Michael Booker is on a lap. No, he's not. He's backed out of this one as well. So he's going to have to get back to the pits as soon as he can here. Let's have a look. Yes, Ant Waddington's backed out of this one. Jamie Keats has as well. So, well, you've got to say, if he went out with that amount of fuel on board, that's an impressive lap time. A 34.0 from Jamie Keats in that Toro Rosso. Shows there's a lot more speed to come. There's 3.5 minutes to go. Here is Callum now on his flying lap. Let's see how that Ferrari's doing. He's coming through the first sector now into this series of S-bends. So difficult to get them absolutely right. And in the first sector, he's a quarter of a second down. But he might just be able to make that time up in the rest of the lap as he comes out. That is turn 9 and turn 10. Seems to have just turned the engine down a little bit. Maybe he's just conserving it for a second flying lap. He's realised this lap isn't going to be quite good enough. Anthony Bauer's gone back out on track as well in the Alfa Romeo. He's currently 6th on the grid. Well, Callum turned his engine back up. Maybe he's still going for it here as he comes down into turn 12. Over 200 miles an hour. Let's see what he can do here in the middle sector. Now he's 7 tenths down. I think he's just trying to warm up those soft tyres. So he could be going for an assault on his second lap. Here is Anthony Bauer. He's on an out lap. So is Andrew, and so is Joe Newman. I said Joe would probably go straight back out. 2.5 minutes to go. And yes, Callum really taking it easy here. Is he going to have one more shot? No, he's diving straight to the pits. And I think that could be it from Callum, because I don't think there's going to be enough time for him to get back out again. It's going to be very, very tight. He's just over 2 minutes. It's going to be extremely tight for him to get back out on track. New set of tyres. So here is Anthony Bauer in the Alfa Romeo. He's currently 6th on the grid. If he finds roughly 4 tenths, he will move up to 4th on the grid. So that will be his target. There's a Toro Rosso coming out of the pits ahead of him. Has he seen him? He has. He's managed to slow down. That is Jamie Keats. He's actually going out on the same tyres. He's already done 3 laps on, so maybe he didn't have any spare soft tyres left there, Jamie. We saw him use a set in Q2 to get through. A little bit wide there in one of those S's there for Anthony, so I think he will be... He's actually slightly up, but I definitely saw him run a little bit wide. So let's have a look. He will have enough time just to do one more lap. So maybe a little bit more time to be found yet as he comes up to turn 11. 55 miles an hour on the apex. So important that corner to get the apex right and get onto the back straight. Ferrari engine, of course, powering that Alfa Romeo, so probably the best engine on the grid at the moment. 205 miles an hour down that straight. He brakes for turn 12. A little bit of a lock up there, but he gets away with it, got the car turned in. He's 4 tenths up, so this would move him up to 4th. If he can find a bit more, he could even be into 3rd place here, which would be an excellent result for Alfa Romeo. Into the final sector, all looking clean at the moment. Through this long 4 apex. Right-hander also got that nice. Not a curb there, but he'll get away with that nicely up to the white line on the exit. Into the final corner. And Anthony Bauer goes 3rd. He did find enough time in the final sector. Great lap from him. Anthony Bauer up to 3rd place in the Alfa Romeo. So he has backed off on this lap as well, so he won't be improving from that. As Joe Newman does a 36.9, but I think he's going to be going again. Oh, and Andrew with a big slide coming out of turn 11 there. Will have lost a little bit of time. Who else is out on track? Stephen decided not to go back out. Jamie Callan is on a lap now. Most of the top 10 are. Both Ferraris are still in the pits. So we got one in 2nd place of Callum. Luke is currently 7th, but that could be all change here. I'm trying to keep an eye. Michael Booker's slightly down in the 1st sector. Andrew is improving a lot though at the moment, but he is 3/4 of a second down of the car ahead of him. But he is 7 tenths up at the moment, so this could be close for him to improve his lap time. Comes into the 2nd to last corner. This is it now for the drivers. As Andrew in the McLaren comes across the line. And he goes up to 5th, just behind his teammate. Good effort from him. Improved by a lot there, did Andrew, to go on to row 3. Who else is about to finish their lap? And Waddington's in the final sector at the moment. So is Joe Newman. So is Jamie Callan. These two are actually very, very close on track. And they're both on flying laps. Are they helping each other here? Or is the dirty air from the back of Ant Waddington's Toro Rosso affecting that McLaren? McLaren does seem to be handling very, very nicely. As Jamie Keeks goes up to 6th, he did find a little bit more time. What can Ant Waddington do here in the Toro Rosso? He goes up to 3rd, 1:11. Jamie Callan goes 4th. It's a good lap from him. Michael Booker's abandoned his lap. So that is your grid, everyone. Stephen Harrison once again in pole position for Mercedes. Callum Harrod lines up alongside him. Ant Waddington with a stunning lap goes 3rd. But look at the time difference. Over a second between row 1 and row 2. Jamie Callan 4th for McLaren. Anthony Bauer 5th for Alfa Romeo. Andrew 6th. Jamie Keats 7th. Joe Newman 8th. 9th in the end for Luke in the Ferrari on his first race. And Michael Booker lines up in 10th place. What a qualifying we had there. And like I said, the front 2 rows is not just all Ferrari and Mercedes. Some stunning results there. There we see confirmation. Stephen fastest from Callan. Ant Waddington 3rd. Jamie Callan 4th. Anthony Bauer, a stunning result as well for him in 5th. 6th for Andrew in the 2nd McLaren. Jamie Keats 7th. 8th for Joe Newman. Luke 9th. And Michael Booker rounds out the top 10. So, we have a 5-minute break now in the league. And I'm going to have a small break in commentary as well. I'll see you in a few minutes. We're back just in time for the race. You join us here at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, the largest city in Texas and one of the largest cities in America, full stop. It's actually the 10th track in history to host a Formula One Grand Prix. That's not including the Indy 500 back in the 50s, which was part of the World Championship. We've seen them at a variety of racetracks, some street tracks, mostly over the years. Then we had the purpose-built track in Indianapolis, but then this specifically made for Formula One, designed by Herman Tilke and opened in 2012. Most of the drivers absolutely rave about this place. A lot of corners based on corners from other racetracks around the world in history. 2 DRS zones to look out for on this racetrack. One along the main straight between the last corner and turn 1, and also the second one along the long curving back straight between turns 11 and 12. Look out for the action zones as well, mainly up into turn 1 at the start, where it's such a wide piece of racetrack into a narrow apex. It does often lead to accidents in the first corner. Ask Felipe Massa from 2015 on that one. Also down into turn 12, we saw some brilliant overtaking and defensive moves by Kimi Raikkonen and Max Verstappen back in 2018, when Kimi Raikkonen finally won his first race for over 100 races to pull off what was an extremely popular victory. Just to very quickly go through the grid with you here before the race starts, we have Stephen with a stunning lap on pole position, Callum alongside him. The two championship rivals will start next to each other on the grid. Anthony Waddington, a brilliant third. Jamie Callan, fourth for McLaren. Anthony Bauer, also a superb effort from him, in fifth place for Alfa Romeo. Andrew in the second McLaren, sixth. So a brilliant qualifying as well for McLaren to be fourth and sixth on the grid. Jamie Keats in the second Toro Rosso, 7th. Could be a very strong day as well for Toro Rosso with a double points finish here if they can stay where they are. Joe Newman, 8th for Racing Point. Luke, 9th on his debut in the second Ferrari. Michael Booker in the second Racing Point in 10th place. Racing Point looking for another double points finish. We saw them do that in Russia and in Italy. Kieran Riddle on his return to the league, he starts 11th for Renault. Good effort from him in a car that is down on power here. Dean was the surprise of qualifying. He lines up in 12th place for Mercedes. He will be so gutted with that. Elijah, also a debutant in the league. He starts 13th for Red Bull. Jimmy, 14th for Haas. Gregor Telford, 15th in the second of the Red Bulls. 16th for Ross Pilgrim in the Williams. Good effort from him in the Williams. It is a long way off the pace, but that Mercedes power really helping them down the straights here. Thomas Edwards will start 17th for Haas in the second Haas. So the Haas car's struggling here a little bit. Arthur Bowler, he'll be very disappointed as well after some strong qualifying results before driving in the Alfa Romeo. He will start 18th on the grid in the Renault. Really couldn't get a lap together there. Gareth Lambourne got a qualifying ban in this race after an incident in Mexico. He will start 19th on the grid because Fraser McKenzie did set the 16th fastest lap, but he had an accident with Anthony Bauer in the first part of qualifying, which gave him a 5-place grid penalty. So he starts at the back of the grid. Just a very quick point, I have mentioned it before, but just in case anyone tuning in now has missed it, both Fraser McKenzie and Gareth Lambourne are running special numbers here this weekend in honour of their grandparents. For Fraser, I believe it's his grandmother, and for Gareth, it's his grandfather. They're running special numbers on their cars. I will try and find them at some point in the race. They're usually involved in some good battles, so I will try and find them so we can see their numbers. But they both asked me to mention that on the stream here this evening. So I mentioned it in qualifying, I've mentioned it here again in the race for you boys. Condolences to you both. I hope you're both okay. You're both cracking lads. So I really hope that you have a good race here today. So we're just waiting for the field now to start readying up. It'll be a long race, 90 minutes a lap here. Just very, very quickly, the most successful driver in history here is Lewis Hamilton. He's won this race 6 times, and bearing in mind the race has only been run 8 times, that's a very, very impressive record from Lewis Hamilton. The most successful team in any US Grand Prix is Ferrari. They've won this race 16 times. And just going back on my previous point, of course, Lewis Hamilton won the last race at Indianapolis in 2007. So he's had one race win there, and he's had 5 here at the Circuit of Americas, which is still very impressive considering we've only had 8 Grand Prix here. So he really does own this racetrack in real life here, does Lewis Hamilton. The drivers are starting to ready up now, so it won't be long before the race starts. And I am so looking forward to this race with the 2 championship rivals right at the front of the grid. It should be an epic race. Look out for those 2 pulling away. We saw the gap between them in qualifying. Look out for Dean coming through the grid as well. He'll be very disappointed with 12th place on the grid. And as usual, there are some fantastic battles in the midfield to look out for with the likes of Ant Waddington and Jamie Callan and Anthony Bauer. They've produced some brilliant shows here. So here we go. The 5 lights are coming on. Tension builds. It's lights out and away we go. And it's a race off. Although McLaren's very slow away, there's a bit of contact. But and Jimmy's out of the race immediately. Jimmy's out of the race immediately, but a good start from Stephen Callan trying to go. Look at Ant Waddington going around the outside. Ant Waddington moves into second place. Callan very cautious into turn 1. And Anthony Bauer's up into second place. Callan was so cautious there to try not to hit the Mercedes that he's lost 2 places. So Stephen leads. Anthony Bauer up into second. There's cars cutting across the track there, which is normal on turn 1, but Stephen leads. Anthony Bauer up into second place. What a start from him, 5th on the grid. We saw Ant Waddington there nearly take the lead. He looked at going around the outside. Jamie Keats is falling down the grid. Is he off? Yes, he is. He is. Jamie Keats has spun. I think there's contact with someone as well. Yes, he's made contact with Andrew. Andrew's got a penalty, but Jamie Keats has spun. And Dean is way down the grid as well, and he's lost his front wing. Wow, what a start to the race. And Kieran's got some technical issues, but Stephen already with nearly a 2-second lead. Look at this lot already. We've got Anthony Bauer, Ant Waddington, Callum, Jamie and Joe Newman here already locked in battle. One of the Red Bulls has made a very good start as well. That's Elijah up into 9th place. But what a start to the race. I saw there was McLaren very slow away. I assume that was Andrew from 6th on the grid, and I think Jimmy must have connected with him off the line, because I did see a bit of contact as well. I think as well, because it was the same side of the grid, and maybe that's where Dean got his damage as well, as Michael Booker runs wide. But end of lap 1, Stephen Harrison has already got a 2-second lead. What a start from him. Absolutely perfect. Callum a little bit cautious into turn 1 as Michael Booker and Andrew pit. And there's a penalty already for Gregor. He's got a penalty already coming into the pit lane. He probably just took a little bit too much of the runoff area there. So hence why they're giving him a penalty. But 5 cars in the pits. Michael Booker, Andrew in the McLaren, Jamie Keats, Gregor Telford and Dean all pitting. Jimmy already out of the race in the Haas. Lap 2. And Stephen, well, he's got this race in his pocket already. Callum gets a penalty as well. Don't forget they have increase the corner cutting strictness here for the last few races now. It is now on strict, so expect to see a lot of penalties here, especially as the tyres get worn through those S's. It's so easy to just drift wide and end up cutting the corner. So easy to do, but look at this battle here. Anthony Bauer must be delighted with this. 5th on the grid, he's up into 2nd place in the Alfa Romeo. The Toro Rosso of Ant Waddington right behind him. There's a good battle going on behind. We've got Callum 4th, Jamie Callan and Joe Newman having a good battle for 5th and 6th place here, but DRS will be enabled. Oh, as Anthony runs a little bit wide, will and try and pounce. No, he stays back a little bit, but Stephen Harrison now with over a 3-second lead already. Well, we've seen it a few times this season where Stephen just must be looking in his mirrors thinking, where's the competition? And it's happening again, because Callum Harrod right now is stuck in traffic, and I think he's going to be there for a while, because we've seen the 2 Ants, Bauer and Waddington, have some brilliant fights already, certainly the races I've commentated on anyway, and it could be happening again, but this time it's for 2nd place. Alfa Romeo and Toro Rosso fighting for 2nd. I've got to say as well, starter of the race, Ross Pilgrim, 16th on the grid. He's up into the points in 9th in that Williams. Started on the medium tyres. What a start from him as well. Also Arthur as well. He started 18th on the grid. He's up to 7th. So we've had some brilliant starts going down the field. Fraser McKenzie from the back is up to 12th. Gareth up to 13th. Again, those two very, very close together as well. And look at that, Jamie Callan going defensive. Joe Newman trying to go around the outside in turn 11. Jamie parked it on the apex there, didn't give him anywhere to go. And Joe Newman couldn't fight it through. Let's have a look now. DRS is now enabled. What is going to happen here? Ferrari versus Honda versus Ferrari here. And these two, as Ant Waddington has a look up the inside. He's going for it and he's made it stick. Good move there. Can Anthony Bauer hang on around the outside? He's trying to do what Kimi Räikkönen did a couple of years ago to Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. But Ant Waddington's got the position. So Ant Waddington in the Toro Rosso moves into second place. But they are already 5 seconds on lap 3 behind the leader, Stephen Harrison. And now Anthony Bauer's lost a little bit of momentum now. Joe Newman gets a penalty. That's in the... He has now got past Jamie Callan. I think he also in the DRS zone got past Jamie to move into 5th place. But Anthony Bauer, I think, lost a little bit of momentum, and he's got it back here. And he's coming back at the Toro Rosso. This is the fight for second, and Callum Harrod cannot get involved here. He's too far behind. He'll be desperate to get past these two. Don't forget as well, though, Callum Harrod, he's on another penalty. That's for Arthur Bowler in the Renault. He's 7th. As Jamie Callan has got back past Joe Newman now. So I said there was going to be some good battles going on, and there already is. But don't forget here, Callum Harrod looks as if he can't get involved in this fight at the moment. But don't forget, he started on the medium tyres, so he will be a little bit slower at the moment. But Stephen Harrison must be thinking his Christmas has come early here, because he's got a 6-second lead. Meanwhile, Dean, who pitted at the end of the first lap, has just set the fastest lap. He is 17th at the moment, and closing in quickly on Gregor, who also pitted at the end of the first lap. As Anthony Bauer now gets back past Ant Waddington. How late is Ant prepared to break here in this fight? And they just about give each other room. That's great racing by the pair of them. And Anthony Bauer makes his stick around the outside. Waddington's not giving up yet. And he's still not giving up. He's got the inside line now, and Ant Waddington hangs on to second place. Great driving by the pair of them to avoid a collision. Callum Harrod taking a watching brief there in 4th place, probably waiting or hoping that these two will take each other off. But in the meantime, they're now nearly 8 seconds down off the leaders, and it's getting worse and worse for Callum. Even if he can go a lot longer in the race, and he surely can on those tyres, he's already 8 seconds down. So not a good start. And this time Anthony Bauer, with a much better run and DRS out the final corner, moves into second place. These three, I think, are going to be fighting hard. This is the battle just behind them. This is for 5th place. This is Jamie Callan, Joe Newman, and also Arthur Bowler, and also Elijah in the Red Bull now getting involved as well. He's in 8th place. So he's had a good start. He started in 13th. He's kept himself out of trouble in the first few laps, and he's up to 8th. Meanwhile, this is Ross Pilgrim in the Williams in 9th place. So I'm going to keep my promise here. Here we go. This is Gareth Lambourne with a different number, number 28, and Fraser McKenzie, number 37. These two with their special numbers, but these two fighting hard over 12th position. I've seen them have some great battles over the races, and they look like they're going to be in for a long haul again. And look at this, Ant Waddington having another look. Anthony Bauer parking it in the middle of the racetrack. Not a lot he can do there as long as he doesn't run wide. And he hasn't, but these three fighting very, very hard for second place. Meanwhile, the lead is now out to 9 seconds now. Stephen Harrison just in a class of his own. We saw in qualifying that the top two had over a second on the rest of the field, but Callum, with his poor start, or more specifically his poor turn 1, has now fallen into the field, and there's nothing you can do about it at the moment. Absolutely nothing. Bit of oversteer from him there as he comes out of turn 20. So on to another lap. We're on to lap 6 now. Anthony Bauer, second place in the Alfa Romeo, Ant Waddington 3rd, and Callum Harrod 4th. And actually Jamie Callan in 5th place is just starting to reel this lot back in, and he's dragging with him Joe Newman, Arthur Bowler, and Elijah. That's the battle for, as Callum runs wide there. Callum ran very wide in one of the S's, But though Jamie Callan is dragging those 3 cars with him, so we could soon have a 6-car battle for second position, which would just be fantastic, wouldn't it? And Waddington lost a little bit of time there through the S's as well. So I think he will have DRS, but he's a little way behind. In fact, it's a 7-car battle here for second place. As Michael Booker also gets a penalty, he's running in 14th position. So, and yes, Waddington just about hung on there. And look at this, Joe Newman and Jamie Callan getting very close together. There is the Renault just behind, with the Red Bull just behind that. Jamie Callan just hanging on to what is currently 5th position. His teammate, who started not far behind him on the grid, in second last. And look at this, Arthur tried to go up the inside of Joe, caught Joe a little bit napping there, but Joe just about hangs on and squeezed him out of room. So Joe Newman just hangs on to 6th place, and Arthur's run off. Arthur's off the track. Arthur's run very, very wide there in the second to last corner. Now he's slipped behind Elijah down into 8th place. Meanwhile, the other battle going on here. Look at this, Ross Pilgrim and Kieran Riddle. This is the battle for 9th place. Kieran's having a little look up the inside. He won't get through there. He may lose a bit of momentum there. And actually, Ross looks like he's letting him go there. He's realising there's no point fighting that Renault. It's quicker, on quicker tyres as well. And yes, smart driving there from Ross. No point getting himself involved in a battle with a car that is a lot quicker than him. So he has chosen to let that Renault go. And at the moment, Ross could be looking good for some points here. He's in 10th position, and he's 8 seconds clear of Thomas Edwards in the Haas, who's also had a pretty good start as well from 17th. He's up to 11th place, also kept himself out of trouble as Michael Booker gets past Gareth into 13th. And is now right on the tail of Fraser McKenzie in 12th position. So here is once again the battle for second place. Anthony Bauer here just settled down a little bit as Callum having a look at Ant Waddington, but Ant nice and late on the brakes. Jamie Callan's got a bit of a gap now to Joe Newman, who's fighting to keep Elijah behind him, with Arthur Bowler also slipped back a little bit here. But Anthony Bauer seems to just have a little bit of control now on this second position. He's certainly avoided any major attacks from Ant in the last couple of laps. And Ant looking in his mirrors at Callum Harrod as those soft tyres that he's on start to wear, the medium tyres that Callum's on, will last longer and have better performance as the race goes on. We're on to lap 8 now. Stephen Harrison, by the way, is still leading the race, and he is now out to 12 seconds. He's pulling away at an average of 1.5 seconds a lap. There's a yellow flag in sector 3. Let me see if I can find what that is. And that is Thomas Edwards off the track. That is turn 16, I believe, on the way out. Had a little bit of oversteer, and he's kept himself out of trouble just about. He's kept himself off the track, so he's let the cars go. So sensible driving there for Thomas Edwards, but he's lost a lot of positions. He's now down to 16th place. Meanwhile, look at this, Gregor pushing Gareth Lambourne very, very hard in the battle for 14th position. Meanwhile, up at the front, Callum getting very close to Ant Waddington as they come into turn 1. Callum braking very, very late. Ant trying to hang on around the outside. This is turn 11, sorry. And Ant has hung on round the outside. Brilliant driving from Ant. But Callum will get DRS, but so does Ant, of course, behind Anthony Bauer. Can they both attack Anthony? Waddington's getting the slipstream here from the Alfa Romeo, but Callum brakes later and makes it up the inside. So Callum Harrod up into 3rd place now. Good move from them. Good driving from the pair of them to avoid hitting each other. And race order very, very quickly. Stephen Harrison leads from Anthony Bauer. Callum Harrod is 3rd. Ant Waddington is 4th. Jamie Callan is still 5th. Joe Newman's just got past, or still just about ahead of Elijah. Arthur Bowler coming back into this as well. He's in 8th place. Kieran Riddle up tonight, and Ross Pilgrim is in 10th place and pulling away from the Racing Point behind him. So good stuff at the moment from Ross in that Williams. Dean Harrison on his fight back is back to where he qualified. He's in 12th position, and his next target is Michael Booker. Excuse me. Knowing Michael as I do, he will probably let the Mercedes go. He realises there's no point fighting him if he's much, much quicker. So now Anthony Bauer's got a team. Oh, and Anthony running a little bit wide in the S's. That could give Callum a little bit of momentum here. And it's a completely different prospect now, having that Ferrari right behind him. Same engine, of course, in the back of the works Ferrari as in the back of the Alfa Romeo. So he'll have similar straight line speed and similar power out of the corners. Joe Newman gets another penalty. He's running 6th, trying hard to keep Elijah behind him and Arthur Bowler, of course, as well. So Callum now with DRS. Will Anthony Bayer fight him? No, he's not defending his line. Ant Waddington trying to get involved as well. And Callum Harrod moves into 2nd place as Fraser McKenzie also gets a penalty. He is running 14th now. He's dropped behind Gregor Telford. But Callum Harrod, well, he'll be pleased with that and relieved, I think, as well. He's up into 2nd place. And Ant Waddington's diving up the inside of Anthony Bauer. Anthony just sees him at the last second and just about gives him room. Well, Ant tried a very late one there to try and catch Anthony out, but Anthony was too wise for that one and hangs on to 3rd place. I think that is going to be the fight here for the final podium. Jamie Callan's dropped back a little bit now in 5th place. He's nearly 3 seconds down. So Callum Harrod now nearly 15 seconds off the lead. He'll be looking to try and close that gap down now, especially now that those tyres on Stephen Harrison's car will be very worn. And of course Callum going further into the race on those mediums. I've got to say, Anthony Bauer doesn't look like he's given up though on 2nd place yet, does it? He's coming back at Callum. A little bit wide again in the S's though for Bauer. But this is the battle for 2nd. The other close battle on track. Here it is. Joe Newman, Elijah in the Red Bull, and Arthur Bowler in the Renault. This is the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th. So great fighting going on here all the way through the field. Stephen Harrison's got it very easy up front, leading by 15 seconds now. He's still pulling away from Callum. So those soft tyres that he's on, despite being into their 10th lap now, and of course add on the qualifying this as well, they still look like they've got some performance. Can Elijah get past the Mercedes-powered Racing Point down into turn 12? And look at this, look at the Renault coming through. Arthur Bowler gets the pair of them. What a move from him, a little bit of tyre contact, but that was brave and a stunning move from Arthur Bowler from miles back to move into 6th place. Elijah does get past Joe, and there's a little bit of contact. Elijah, I think, was trying to let Joe back through, and Joe didn't realise it, and there was a little bit of contact, and now there's damage to the front wing left hand end plate there on the Racing Point. That's going to give him horrible understeer, and Elijah, yes, goes round the outside. Little bit of miscommunication there between the two drivers, and Elijah moves into 7th place, and Joe Newman pits. He's got a lot of understeer, so he's going to have to pit there. From what was, well, he was up in 6th, but what a move from Arthur Bowler, I've got to say. From miles back there, down the back straight, he just braked so late, and he got the pair of them. Brilliant. Meanwhile, Callum now is still dropping back by over a second a lap. From here is your race leader. He's turned everything up by the looks of it, so he's pushing hard. And he's now got a 16.5 second lead out front. What a start to this race here for Stephen Harrison, the World Championship leader, don't forget. Really helped by Callum's poor turn 1, where he lost a couple of places. And he is now nearly 17 seconds off the lead. Stephen Harrison pushing hard. It does look as if maybe they might be looking at a pit stop soon. By the way, the pit stop for Joe Newman has brought him out in 11th position, just ahead of his teammate. So I don't think there will be any change of position there. So, race order, Stephen Harrison leads by 17 seconds from Callum Harrod. Anthony Bowers now just dropped back a little bit from Callum, but he's still in 3rd and still got Ant Waddington for company in 4th place. 4 seconds down the road is Jamie Callan in the McLaren, who's 3 seconds ahead of Arthur Bowler in the Renault. Elijah's a further 3 seconds back in 7th place. Kieran Riddle is 8th, 11 seconds behind that. Ross Pilgrim still driving a great race. He's in 9th place in the Williams, and he's 6 seconds clear of the 2nd Mercedes of Dean Harrison, who is on his fight back. Don't forget, started 12th, had contact on the pit straight at the start, and now is on a recovery drive. He's up to 10th place, but he did fit the soft tyres, so he won't be able to go for that much longer. On lap 12 of the race, so coming up toward quarter distance already. There's so much action here. It's absolutely flying past. Look at Stephen, just completely calm, in control, still pulling away. And well, what a season he's having in that Mercedes. Drove for Ferrari last season, but having a brilliant season, that Mercedes. Comfortably leading the World Championship. Has had his lead cut in the last few races, but he's looking to correct that here, and at the moment he's going the right way about it. Look at this, and there's a yellow flag in sector 1. I think that's Thomas Edwards. Yes, it is. Thomas Edwards off in turn 1. I think he's struggling with a bit of too much wheel spin and not enough rear downforce. There is Thomas Edwards. We've seen him make that error twice now, and he's able to slip to the back of the field in the Haas. He had a good start. He started in 17th position, was knocking on the door of the points early on, but he's made a couple of spins now, and he's dropped to the back of the field. And actually he's not far away from being lapped either, already on lap 13. And look at this, Anthony Barron and Waddington fighting hard here down the pit straight. This is still the battle for third place. Jamie Callan keeping a watching brief in 5th. He's 3.5 seconds down the road. But this is the main fight on track at the moment for third place. We're on lap 13. So the next lap will be quarter distance already in this US Grand Prix. And the race has definitely settled down a little bit now. But these two still going hard at it in the fight for third place. And you've got to say, it would be a stunning result for both drivers here to get on the podium here. Anthony Bauer and Ant Waddington. Ant's been knocking on the door in the last few races, finished 4th in Japan. And he does have a tendency to keep himself out of trouble and end up picking up positions later in the race. And look at this, he's weaving left, weaving right now, going to the outside, trying to do the cut back. Is Anthony Bauer going to keep his position? Yes, just about. Defended very, very nicely there. So these two, well, I've seen them fight a few times on track, and it's always been brilliant and very, very fair. A lot of respect between these two drivers, and we're seeing it once again. Don't forget, of course, as well, Ant Waddington is the newly crowned Extreme 1 World Champion. He won that World Championship last weekend at the Mexican Grand Prix, and he's proving here just how quick he is, as Stephen Harrison picks from the lead, and he's gone on to another set of the soft tyres, and he'll definitely be stopping again. And look at the lead he had, because Callum Harrod has only just, and literally only just, got ahead of him. It's about 18 seconds for a pit stop. Stephen had a lead of 17.5, and look at this. Perfect pit stop from Mercedes, and Callum's going to have a real job on his hands keeping that Mercedes with brand new soft tyres. You can already see the extra grip that Mercedes got through those S-bends, and I really don't think it'll be long before Stephen retakes the lead. Callum going a little bit defensive into turn 11, but I don't think there's going to be anything you can do down this back straight. Stephen making himself known to Callum. Callum does go defensive. We know how good in a straight line that Mercedes is. How late is Callum prepared to brake? Well, very late. He's just about trying to hang on round the inside. But Stephen just has got the grip and the traction, and there's nothing Callum could do about that. And meanwhile, behind these two still out. And look at Waddington, so late on the brakes there. And they think this time he's made it stick. He's taken third place from Anthony Bauer. And as Anthony tries a late manoeuvre as well, Waddington gives him the space, and Anthony Bauer gets it again. And Waddington's trying the cut back, not quite working. Meanwhile, just behind them, Jamie Callan is starting to close the gap now. It was about 3.5 seconds. It's now less than 2 as Thomas Edward pits from 18th position, and Anthony Bauer pits as well. Anthony Bauer pits from what was third place. So it could be a smart decision there from Alfa Romeo, because he can get the undercut on that Toro Rosso. So Stephen Harrison has just got a time penalty as well. So it's so easy to do that. When you come out with a brand new set of tyres, you suddenly have grip. So where you were having to turn in a little bit earlier before on the worn tyres, suddenly you have a lot of grip. So you do that again on the new tyres, and the car just sticks. So it's very easy on a new set of tyres, believe it or not, to get a time penalty in those S's. Callum now is 2 seconds behind. How far into the race is he going to go? We already know that Stephen is going to be doing at least a 2-stop strategy. With those medium tyres, it is possible here that Callum could be doing a 1-stop strategy. We've seen him really look after his tyres. We saw it at Singapore. He did over 50 laps on a single set of tyres. So he's very, very good at conserving those tyres. Callum will be hoping that Stephen's doing a 3-stop. I can't see that personally. I think it will be a 2-stop race. Meanwhile, Anthony Bauer's come out in some free air. Here he is. He's on a brand new set of medium tyres. He has come out in some free air, which will please him. Is Ant Waddington pitting? Yes, he is. So this is the fight we need to be watching here. Ant Waddington pits from 3rd. Where is he going to come in? Jamie Callan's pitted as well. Arthur Bowler carries on, so he's going to move up into 3rd place. Where is Anthony Bauer going to be in relation to these two? We know it's about 17 seconds, 18 seconds for a pit stop here. On goes a brand new set of the soft, medium tyres. It's going to be close, but I think Anthony Bauer's going to be through. Yes, he is. Anthony Bauer takes the position, and actually in the end quite comfortably. So it goes to show the advantage of the undercut. Dean Harrison also pits for Mercedes. He'd got himself up into 9th place. What tyres is he fitting? He's fitting another set of the soft tyres. So Dean really going all out attacking here. Of course, he would have had a spare set of soft tyres from Q3, which he didn't take part in. But that is going to be a definite 3-stop strategy here for that Mercedes. He pitted on lap 1 after an incident, I think, was from the grid. But he has gone on to his 3rd set of soft tyres now. I actually think he did start the race on mediums, if I remember correctly. So maybe he is going a little bit further than we thought. Jamie Keats, by the way, he fitted a set of hard tyres on the first lap. He's only got up to 15th place, showing how slow those hard tyres actually are at the moment. So meanwhile, Stephen now is 6.5 seconds ahead of Callum. To be perfectly honest, I don't think this strategy is working here for Callum, because at this rate, he'll soon be another pit stop behind Stephen. So even if he is 3-stopping, he's going to have that pit stop in his pocket. Arthur Bowler, he's up to 3rd in the Renault. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. Just trying to see where he started on the grid. He started in 18th position in that Renault, so he's had a brilliant race so far. We've already seen a stunning move from him where he overtook 2 cars down into turn 12. And he's up into 3rd place now. And he's also started on those medium tyres, which are a little bit fresher than Callum's, of course, as he didn't take part in Q3. His teammate has just pitted. Kieran Riddle has just pitted in the other Renault. So I'm not quite sure where he's going to feed out. At the moment, it looks like behind Gregor, sorry. And indeed, he does. Just ahead of Andrew, just gets overtaken by Dean Harrison. So Dean up into 12th. So race order, and I'm going to try and give you the gaps as well if I can. Stephen Harrison leads by 8.5 seconds. Now 9.5 seconds from Callum. I think Callum's made a mistake somewhere in the Ferrari. Arthur's driving a stunning race. He's up to 3rd now for Renault. He's 13 seconds, 14 seconds behind Callum. 7 seconds behind that is this guy, Elijah, on his debut in the Red Bull, as Stephen sets fastest lap of the race on a 37.0. But the Red Bull here of Elijah started 13th on the grid. He's kept himself out of trouble. He's still on those soft tyres that he started the race on. And he is up to 4th now. Arthur Bowler in the Alfa Romeo is 5th. And Waddington and Jamie Callum, look at this. There's wheel to wheel, side by side. That is brave through that long right-hander. And Jamie just pushing out off the track a little bit and then turning in, and he's entitled to do that. He's just ahead. And Good move. Good move there from Jamie Callum to move into 6th place now ahead of, and now that becomes 5th with Elijah Minton and Waddington going back up the inside. Great move. Has he braked too late? No. Parks it on the apex. There's nothing the McLaren can do there. Trying to get a better exit, but he can't quite do it. These two are fighting hammer and nail here for 5th place. Elijah's pitted and has come out in 7th, just ahead of Joe Newman. Quickly to round out the rest of the top 10, Ross Pilgrim is 9th, and Kieran and Dean are fighting over 10th place. Kieran fighting well, but Dean on those brand new soft tyres. A little bit of contact. I don't think Kieran was expecting Dean to still be there, and Dean has taken 10th place. And look at these two still fighting hard. This is Jamie Callan and Ant Waddington for 5th and 6th place as Michael Booker pits in the Racing Point. Just very, very quickly, there's only 4 cars on track yet to stop as Ant Waddington's going for it again. Let's have a look down into turn 12. How late are these two going to brake? And Ant Waddington's made that one stick nicely. Can Jamie get the undercut? He's trying it, but Ant's got good traction on the exit there. But only 4 cars. Excuse me, only 4 cars are yet to stop. That's Callum in 2nd, Arthur in 3rd, Ross Pilgrim in the Williams having a brilliant race in 9th, and Gareth Lambert in 15th position in the Alfa Romeo. They're the only cars yet to stop. So Gareth doing a fine job there in 15th place. Watch out for Gareth. He may not be there at the moment, but he always manages to end up getting there or thereabouts with the points, as Jamie Callan having another look, not quite close enough this time. Oh, and Waddington's outbraked himself. Can Jamie do anything with it? Not quite on the exit. Just very, very quickly as well, don't forget, the fastest lap of the race, if you're inside the top 10, gets 1 point. Also, if you set the fastest lap of those outside the top 10, you get 2 points. At the moment, that 2 points is held by Gregor Telford in the Red Bull. He's done a 1:39.6. So if he doesn't get into the top 10, he will get 2 points to his total, and that would be very good of him. I've got to say, very impressed with Gregor. He's done that a few times through this season. He seems to get involved in a few incidents, but he also manages to get the fastest lap outside the top 10 as well. So he's still getting his points total ticking over. Meanwhile, Stephen Harris's lead now is out to 14 seconds. He's nearly a full pit stop ahead of Callum. So Stephen, once again, as he did in Singapore, driving a superbly dominant race as Dean gets past Ross to move into 9th place. I really do hope for Ross he gets some points on the board. It'd be great to see that Williams getting some strong points. And it's a strong drive from him so far. Started 16th, currently up to 10th, yet to stop as well. So very good drive from him at the moment. Here we go again, Jamie Callan and Ant Waddington. This is the fight for 5th. Oh, and Ant again outbrakes himself in turn 1. Jamie trying to get alongside. They're wheel to wheel. But Ant's got the inside line for turn 2. And there's not a lot Jamie can do about that. Excuse me, and Waddington hanging on to 5th. He seems to have lost his pace a little bit on these tyres. Don't forget, he was really harrying the Alfa Romeo ahead of him of Anthony Bauer in the first stint, and now he's 4.5 seconds behind him. Anthony did stop 1 lap earlier, but he came out only a couple of seconds behind him, and right now he's dropped another couple of seconds. So this set of tyres not quite agreeing with that Toro Rosso the same as it did the first set when he was on the soft tyres. Still a good drive from him at the moment though. He's in 5th, but now he's under real pressure. And these two, I have seen a lot of comments with these two on the chats on Facebook, and they love racing each other. They give each other a lot of respect and a lot of room. And we're seeing it again here on the racetrack. This is a wonderful battle to watch and to commentate on, I've got to say. This is for 5th place. As Andrew gets past Gregor, that's the battle for 12th. Gregor's done very well on those tyres. He's done 18 laps on a set of soft tyres, and he's still going. He's in 13th place. They must be starting to lose a bit of performance. Yellow flag in sector 3. I'll see if I can find out who that is. That's Thomas Edwards again. He's spun in again coming out of turn 16. He's in the middle of the track, just about gets out of the way in time. But Thomas Edwards not having a great race, it's got to be said. And I think he could be out of the race. No, he is rejoining the track. But it's so difficult with these cars, as once you oversteer like that off, you overheat the rear tyres. And then for quite a few corners and laps, you then have very, very hot rear tyres, and it's so easy to do it again, and the problem just compounds and it can get worse and worse, and you end up spinning more and more. You see it there, a bit of oversteer on the exit of the final corner, which is normally easy full power on the way out of that corner, but he's now over a minute behind his nearest competitor now, is Thomas Edwards at the back of the field. But you never know, we have seen races in this league with a lot of retirements. He could still get some points with even though he is down there in 18th place. I remember the first ever race I commentated on for this league, which was the first race of the league in Australia in season 1. We only had 5 finishers, so admittedly we had lost half the field by half distance, which we haven't had in this race, but you never know what might happen. We've seen a lot of late retirements in races so far. As Stephen, a bit of oversteer there in the S's, caught it nicely, but he's once again nearly a pit stop clear of Callum. So even if he is 3-stopping, he has nearly got a whole pit stop in his pocket. Meanwhile as well, Callum has got to a pit stop clear of 3rd place, which is Arthur, who's just driving superbly in this race. He's had a couple of great races that I've seen with Alfa Romeo. He's in the Renault here. Similar kind of performance in the league. And he's once again proving that he's got the pace. As yes, Jamie Callum has got past Ant Waddington. They're still fighting hard. They're now still 4 seconds behind Anthony Bauer in 4th place. But Jamie Callum has now got past Ant Waddington. Can he pull away? Behind these two, Elijah's actually driving a very good race on his debut. He's up to 7th in the Red Bull and slightly closing up on these two. And you've got to say as well, Arthur driving brilliantly, because he's still 8.5 seconds clear of Anthony Bauer, and he's yet to stop. Anthony Bauer has stopped. He's on brand new tyres. Well, they've only done 7 laps. Arthur's done over 20 laps. Another yellow flag because Ant Waddington goes back up the inside of Jamie. These two, what a fight they're having. And another yellow flag is that. And yes, Thomas Edwards again, this time in turn 1. And this time he has got damage to the front wing. Well, that's at least 3 spins now for Thomas Edwards. He's not having the best of races, I'm afraid to say. I don't like being critical of other drivers, but unfortunately he's not having the greatest of races, and that's Fraser McKenzie getting back past Michael Booker. These two are in a fight for 15th position. I think Michael got past Fraser there and then outbraked himself, so Fraser did the cutback. This is a fight for 15th position as things stand. Andrew's just pitted. He's just ahead of them in 14th position in the McLaren, and he's gone for a set of hard tyres. They should see him to the end. We've got 33 laps. They should see him to the end, looking at how long the medium tyres are going. Look at these two. Jamie Callan back past the Toro Rosso again. McLaren versus Toro Rosso. Honda versus Renault. That ahead there, that was Anthony Bauer, who's sitting pretty at the moment, just starting to close the gap a little bit to Arthur ahead of him, but he's 4 seconds clear of this battle. And of course we saw before the pit stops he was in a brilliant fight with these two, so, well, certainly with Ant Waddington. So, lap 24, we're approaching half distance. Jamie Callan comes through again, having a look up the inside. Ant Waddington with the DRS has made it. So, these two fighting for 5th and 6th, tooth and nail here. It's a brilliant fight to watch. Meanwhile, up the front, Stephen Harrison has now got nearly a 21-second lead, and he's still pulling away. I think Callum may have resigned himself to 2nd place. but that would still be a good result for him. Arthur as well, driving brilliantly in third. There you can see just in the distance there, that is Anthony Bauer in the Alfa Romeo. He's maintaining this gap. In fact, if anything, he's pulling away a little bit from these two as they're fighting. He's out to 5 seconds clear. And he was really under pressure from Ant Waddington before the pit stop. So, good driving from him here. And Elijah as well in the Red Bull. He's in 7th place and actually closing the gap a little bit now. He's taken about a second out of on this lap. Look how close these two are. They're almost touching through these S's. Got to say, great setup here on that McLaren to be able to stay that close to the Toro Rosso through this section of track, which is normally, if you're that close to a car behind you, you have so much understeer with the dirty air. But let's have a look if he can be close enough down the pit straight. We know that that Renault is probably the weakest engine on the grid. Even the Honda has probably overtaken it now, which is hard to believe if you think back a couple of years at how much that Honda was struggling when it was with McLaren. But now, that Honda, I think, is one of the better engines on the grid. Of course, there are only 4. Callum finally pits. Callum in the pits from 2nd place. He should maintain that second because he's comfortably clear. He's over 20 seconds clear of Arthur. Arthur, I have a feeling, will just go a couple more laps, and Callum's gone onto a set of softs. That's very interesting. So he will be pitting again, and Arthur pits as well. Arthur pits from from 3rd. So he will lose a position, but that's very, very interesting here. Callum Harrod has gone onto a set of soft tyres, so he will be stopping again. He's no way he can make those tyres get to the end. The longest stint we've seen on those softs is about 18 laps. And likewise, Arthur as well has gone onto a set of softs. So maybe they're looking at the pace of Jamie Keats in the Toro Rosso. He went to a set of hards after his first lap pit stop, and he's not had great pace, and he's still only 13. Maybe they're looking at that and realising that hard tyres are not that quick here. Excuse me. So Stephen Harrison now, here he is, leads by 40 seconds. He's actually got 2 pit stops in his pocket right now, because that is Jamie Keats letting him through. Callum is just under 11 seconds clear of Anthony Bauer. The pit stop there for Arthur's dropped into 8th place, but that's still a very good result. Yellow flag in sector 2 and 3. I think that might have been someone just letting a leader through. Look at this lot. This is Arthur with his teammate Kieran. We've got Dean in here and Elijah. This is a big fight for 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th as Dean's gone off the track. Sorry, Kieran's not in there, but it's Arthur, Elijah and Dean. Big fight here for 6th place. Don't forget, Arthur's just pitted, so he would be trying to get ahead of these as quick as possible on those brand new soft tyres. And hopefully now he can pull away. Elijah's got past Dean as well. Dean starting to fade on those soft tyres again, so he will be stopping soon, I would have thought. He's in 8th position. It's not coming together here for this weekend, is it, for Dean? Bad qualifying, and now he's got caught up in the first lap incidents. And it looks like he's on a 3-stop strategy. And look at this, Elijah goes to the inside to try and defend the position. Dean goes around the outside. This is the fight for 7th place, and Elijah's held on nicely, but I think Dean's through. Yes, he's got the inside line for turn 2, and Dean retakes the position ahead of Elijah. Meanwhile, Ant Waddington and Jamie Callan still fighting hard and back ahead of Jamie. This is the battle for 4th place now after the pit stop of Arthur. And actually these two are actually just starting to close the gap to Anthony Bauer ahead of them. It's down to 3.5 seconds. We saw it out to 5 at one point. So these two are just dragging each other closer to the Alfa Romeo ahead of them. But look behind them in the distance is the Renault of Arthur, who's just made a stop. So he will also be looking to close this gap as soon as possible. He's 4 seconds down at the moment. Callum, though, showing he has got a little bit of pace on these soft tyres. Oh, as he's trying to lap a Williams, who isn't making it easy for him. That's Fraser McKenzie. That is not going to go down well with the stewards. Fraser did not make it easy at all there for Callum in the final corner. Cost Callum about a second there, because I was just going to say, He's taken about a second and a half out of Stephen. And then as we cut to him, we saw Fraser almost squeezing Callum off the racetrack there. That is not going to go down well with the stewards at all. Although we'll certainly be looking at that later in the race. So here's Anthony Bauer. He's third. And just starting to lose a little bit of time. He's going to be hoping these two start fighting each other again, so he can start pulling away. Arthur is closing the gap as well. Also behind him, we've got a good fight going on between Dean in the Mercedes. He's up to 7th. And Elijah in the Red Bull. Kieran Riddle's kept himself out of trouble. He's up to 9th place. There he is in the Renault. As Thomas Edwards pits again. I think he's made another mistake. Ross finally pits. The last man to pit finally pits. He was down to 11th. His tyres had worn out. What tyres is he going to go on? Because if he goes on to centre hards, I think he will go to the end. We're at the half distance now. And he's gone to a set of softs. Well, I very much doubt he can get those to the end. As Stephen pits from the lead. No danger at all of him losing that lead. But he's gone on to a new set of medium tyres. Well, the longest stint we've seen on the medium tyres is about 25 laps. But of course, as the fuel load comes down, it will be less effort on those tyres to get through these high G-force corners. So he might be able to make them last to the end. But he comes out still with a 20-second lead over Callum. There is Anthony Bauer just starting to fade a little bit. He's 2.5 seconds now clear of Ant Waddington and Jamie Cannon. There's a little bit of a gap between these two. Look at Arthur there. Jamie's got Arthur in his mirrors. That's why he's probably just slowed down a little bit. Arthur, brand new set of soft tyres. Is he going to try and outbrake Jamie into turn 1? No, he's kept back. But look at the extra grip he's got into turn 1. So Arthur Bowler here in the Renault really pushing hard. Just a message that I've received on Facebook. The Talk of the Devil Elite Race has finished and the season has finished, and Dean Barry won that with 87 points. He's ahead of Matt Anderson on 60, Michael Savage on 51 and Neil on 42. And look at this, Arthur's got past Jamie and is now all over the back of Ant Waddington. So this is a big fight here. This is for 4th place. Look at how much extra grip that Renault's got on those brand new soft tyres. He will surely be getting... Look at that, trying to get up the inside. He's not going to do it there. Surely not to the second to last corner either. But any time now, I think Arthur Bowler's going to be getting past Ant Waddington and then setting off after Anthony Bauer, who's pulled up 3 seconds clear of this fight now again. Here comes Arthur. Yeah, there's no point Ant fighting that really. I think he knows that. And Arthur Bowler takes 4th place. I've got to say, this is driving the race so far for me. Poor Arthur. From 18th on the grid. Kept himself out of trouble at the start, and he's up to 4th place after a pit stop. I think he's going to have one more stop, but I think the cars around him are as well. So this is a stunning drive from Arthur Bowler in the Renault, really showing off his credentials to the managers who, don't forget, after this race can offer contracts to drivers for next season. So the Talk of the Devil Season 3 will start on February the 1st, and after today's race, the managers who are in place, there's 5 of them, 2 teams each for the new season, can offer their drivers a contract. Stephen sets fastest lap of the race. He's got a 20-second lead over Callum, who's 20 seconds clear of Anthony, who's now just 2 seconds clear here of Arthur. I think Arthur very quickly is going to eat into that lead, because he's so quickly pulling away from the 2 behind him of Ant and Jamie, who's resuming their battle now for 5th place. Not far behind them as well as Dean. He's closing the gap up a little bit as well in his second Mercedes. It won't be long before he's making a third stop of the race. Another penalty for Jamie. So it's so easy around here. So yes, look already. Arthur's taken 2 seconds out. There's now less than a second behind him. This is the fight for 3rd and 4th place now. Arthur, you know, is in with a shout of this podium. Because like I said, he will be stopping before the others, but I'm pretty sure everyone else will be having to stop as well. I can't see a one-stop strategy working around here, so he is really in with a shout of a podium here, especially if he can go on to another set of soft tyres for his final stint. That will really, really help him. Excuse me, and yes, he is lining up. And look at that, on the exit of the corner, even before the DRS zone. And he's comfortably through now and up into 3rd place. Anthony Bauer's going to try and come back at him, but he doesn't have DRS, and that's really helped the Renault down that straight. Jamie Callan having a look up the inside of Ant Waddington, but doesn't quite make it stick, or does he? No, they're side by side again. How many times have these two been side by side for these corners? But Ant Waddington a little bit wide there. Jamie trying to come back at him once again, but Ant's got the inside line for the next series of corners. Can Jamie cut back up the inside of him again? He's trying it. There's Dean closing up behind them as well. Maybe just see in the background there's a yellow flag in the final sector. Not quite sure what that was, but look how close these two are here. This is the battle for 5th, and Dean looks like he's pitting. Yes, he is. Dean deciding not to get involved in this battle. He pits from 7th place. And look at this, Jamie Callan now up the inside, and he's just about made that stick and pushes Anthony Waddington wide. Well, he's entitled to do that. He's on the inside, he's just ahead, he can take whatever line he wants, and Anthony Waddington had to back out of that one. So Jamie Callan now moves into 5th place. Race order, Stephen Harrison leads by over 20 seconds from Callum. Arthur's back into 3rd place in the Renault, 4th for Anthony Bauer. Jamie Callan now up to 5th, and Waddington 6th. Here is Elijah in 7th. Dean has come out in 8th place, but looks to have some technical issues, so he might struggle with that. Kieran is 9th, and Joe Newman is in 10th position in the Racing Point, closing down on that Renault. And there is Gregor in 11th in the Red Bull. Just to run through the rest of the runners, Jamie Keats, there he is in 12th, having a very quiet race in the second Toro Rosso. Ross Pilgrim is 13th for Williams. Andrew is 14th in the McLaren. There is Michael Booker, he's 15th for Racing Point. Gareth Lambourne 16th, there he is in the Alfa Romeo. 17th, there he is, Fraser McKenzie in the Williams. And 18th and last, a couple of laps down now, is Thomas Edwards. You've seen him with lots of problems, and he's quite a few laps down now in 18th position. But you've got to say, out front at the moment, Callum is matching Stephen, but Stephen's on the harder tyres. And I think he will be going to the end as Arthur laps Fraser. So that's 3rd place lapping Fraser now. So lap 32, we're over half distance. Still Jamie Callan and Ant Waddington fighting hard. Another penalty for Fraser. I've seen that a few times in this race so far. But these two are still battling hard. We've seen it really from the first round of pit stops. These two have closed up together. And that's where they've taken a little bit of a mistake there for Ant. He's lost a little bit of ground. But he's still, I think, just in the DRS zone. Look at that traffic ahead of them. But what a drive from Arthur here. He's 3rd, still only 24 seconds behind Callum. Which, considering the difference in starting positions, Callum on the front row of the grid, Arthur 18. That's a very, very impressive achievement. Very, very good indeed. So, how long can the cars on the soft tyres last? Callum's currently done 8 laps on those soft tyres. Longest that we've seen is by Gregor. He's done 18 laps for. So could be a little while yet. Elijah's done 14 so far on his soft tyres. He's in 7th place. And look at these two again closing up. And Kieran and Joe Newman getting very close together. See if I can find that battle. This is for 9th place. And I think Joe Newman's made it stick this time. Joe Newman is through into 9th place in the Renault. Sorry, the Racing Point. Dean has just rejoined just in the nick of time, because look how close he now is to being ahead in this battle. He's only a second and a half in front of it, so not even that now. So he rejoined at just the right time, unless he's still got some issues, because he's not going very quickly here, and Joe Newman's having a look at him. Can he make it stick, possibly? Joe Newman with another penalty. I've seen a few of those in this race as well. But these two now are very, very close. In fact, Joe really having to get out of it to avoid hitting the back of that Mercedes. And Kieran will be looking at this as well, hoping he can bounce back past the Racing Point. They come down into turn 11. Look at Gregor as well closing up behind them in 11th place, also sniffing at a point here. As Joe Newman is passed, Kieran is soon going to follow him. He's got the DRS. There's not a lot he can do. Another penalty for Andrew. Where is Andrew? He's 14th at the moment on the harder tyres. I think going to the end of the race on those. Meanwhile, look at this. This is Anthony Bauer, who is now only just ahead of Jamie Callan, who has dragged Ant Waddington with him. So this is for 4th, 5th and 6th as Elijah Pitts should probably, I would think, go to the medium tyres, and he has. That will see him to the end of the race quite easily. Will he come out ahead of Joe Newman? That's going to be quite close, actually. Yes, he will, quite easily, actually. Joe's just coming onto the pit straight now, and Elijah leaves the pit. So good debut race from Elijah. Qualified 13th, out-qualified his teammate for his debut, and he's kept out of trouble, and he's in 7th place and going to the end on those tyres. So if he can keep it on the road, looking like he's going to pick up some good points here. Meanwhile, back to this battle, which has been raging since lap 1, really. The two Anthonys, Bauer and Waddington, with Jamie Callan in there as well. This is for 4th place. Arthur Bowler is some 7 seconds up the road. And I've just seen a good fight as well behind them. That is Gareth and Fraser McKenzie fighting hard over 16th and 17th position. Those two really, really fighting hard. As Gregor gets past Kieran and into the final points paying position. So Dean has rejoined the race, and now he's putting Joe Newman back under pressure again. But here we go. Jamie Callan now helped by the fact he's getting DRS from the back of the Alpha. Oh, look at that, so much later on the brakes. Nearly into the back of him, just about avoided contact. So Anthony Bauer, we saw this at the end of the first stint, didn't we, on the soft tyres. He does seem to struggle near the end of the stint on a set of tyres. Takes it very, very cautiously. And we saw him lose time before, last time to Ant Waddington, and we're seeing it again here, this time against Jamie Callan and Ant Waddington. He just seems to struggle. Maybe his setup wears his tyres out a little bit quicker. But on lap 36, he's done 20 laps on these tyres. So if he pits down, puts on another set of mediums, he can make it to the end of the race. You would have thought. But let's have a look here. Here comes Jamie. He's getting past Anthony now. And Ant Waddington's having a little look as well. Anthony Bauer trying to brake really late. He's out-braked himself. He's out-braked himself down into turn 12. Ant Waddington wasn't quite there to pounce, but he is now going up the inside. And I don't think there's going to be a lot he can do. How late is Anthony Bauer going to brake here? And he's just about made it stick. Ant Waddington trying to hang it out around the outside. And he's still got the inside line. These two still wheel to wheel. Oh, a little bit of contact. Bit of oversteer there from Ant Waddington, but I think he's just got away with it, but he hasn't slot in behind the Alfa Romeo. So great racing between these three cars here for what is now 5th place. Arthur, meanwhile, is 9 seconds up the road from these three. So he's still driving brilliantly well. Does get a penalty there, but he's 9 seconds up the road. I think everyone's got to make another stop. So looking very good at the moment for a podium in that Renault. We're on lap 36. Pit stops wise, I don't think Stephen will be pitting again. I think he may be going to the end. But I think pretty much everyone else in the top 6 will stop again. Elijah will be going to the end, I would have thought, and Dean. But apart from that, I think everyone's got at least one more stop to make. Stephen starts lap 37. These three now a little bit more stretched out. Jamie's got a bit of a gap now between himself and Anthony Bauer, who in turn has got a bit of a gap between himself and Ant Waddington. So, good driving by these three. Getting a bit of a gap between them. They've been wheel to wheel so many times in this race, and yet they still have not had any major contact that's caused damage. So, brilliant driving by this lot. As Andrew pits in the McLaren, he was on those hard tyres, but clearly no pace. So he's making another stop. Maybe going to a set of mediums, which will take him to the end. As that is Anthony Bauer pitting. Anthony Bauer pits. We saw this before. He pitted first of these three last time, and he's done it again. So he was running in 5th place, and he's the first of these three to blink and make a stop. He goes on to a new set of medium tyres, and he does come out of the pits comfortably ahead of Elijah in 7th place. So he's got a lot of clear track now. He can start to push, and you never know, Jamie might be back under pressure again here. Little surprised to see that McLaren diving straight into the pits on this lap, because he will not want to lose track position to that Alfa Romeo. We've seen how much Anthony Bauer will defend his position. So he will not want to lose that position to him on track. But of course we saw last time as well how much of a difference that undercut made. He made up at least 2 seconds. So depending on how long these guys stay out, Anthony Bauer could be looking good for 4th place here. At least running in 4th again. So race order, Stephen Harrison still leads by an ever-increasing gap. The lead is now 26 seconds over Callum Harrod. We've hardly seen the pair of them all race. Arthur Bowler is up to 3rd place, 25 seconds behind Callum, but 10.5 clear of this battle for 4th. Jamie Callum does carry on going. He's in 4th place, and Waddington is 5th for Toro Rosso. Here is Anthony Bauer. He's 6th in the Alfa Romeo. Those three have got unfinished business, I think, till the end of the race. There is Elijah, still driving very well. He's in 7th, but now got Dean homing in on him in the 2nd Mercedes. He's had a bit of an iffy race, really. Joe Newman is 9th, and Gregor Telford is in 10th place at the moment. That rounds out the points. Don't forget about the fastest lap outside the top 10. At the moment, I'm just looking through the list. That is held by Ross Pilgrim in the Williams. He's in 13th position. He's on a 1:39.0. So if he can't get into the top 10, he will still get 2 points. Stephen Harrison, meanwhile, has just set fastest lap of the race, over half a second quicker than anyone else has managed in this race. A 1:36.500. And that's on the 11th lap on those medium tyres. So he's just playing with everyone, really, showing that he does still have the pace. Look at these two now. This is Elijah and Dean fighting over 7th and 8th place. Dean has been playing catch-up really since qualifying when he didn't make it into Q3. Then got involved in a first lap incident, and now he's up into 8th place, looking to make it 7th. Elijah doesn't fight it too hard, knows there's not a lot of point, and Dean nicely moves up into 7th place. His next target is Anthony Bauer, but he is some nearly 10 seconds up the road. These two, meanwhile, still carrying on. Jamie Callan and Ant Waddington, they're 2 seconds apart. But Anthony Bauer is now less than a pit stop behind, and definitely it's going to be touch and go with Jamie. So I really did expect these two to pit very, very quickly, but they've decided to stay with it. I very much doubt they can make it to the end. There's 17 laps to go in this race yet. On lap 40, so 16 laps to go after this one, the leaders are on. So I very much doubt they can make it to the end. The longest stint we've seen on these medium tyres is about 28 laps. So if they try and go to the end, they'll be looking at nearly 40 laps on those medium tyres. And with the high G-force corners around here, that'll be very, very difficult to do. Jamie Keats still running on those hard tyres. He's done 37 laps. He pitted at the end of the first lap, of course. And he's still running on those hard tyres. He's up into 12th place. And just about closing up on Kieran ahead of him. So about 5 seconds between those two. So let's see if we can find the leader. We haven't seen him all race. Here he is, Stephen Harrison. But he's just had the race in his pocket, hasn't he, really, from the start. Callum dropped back to 4th in the first corner and was stuck there for a while, and he pulled out almost a pit stop right in the first stint. Came out a couple of seconds behind Callum and immediately got past him, as Jamie Callum does now pit. Let's see where this puts him in relation to Anthony Bauer. It's going to be close. He goes for a set of softs. Yes, he will be able to make it to the end on those. It is going to be tight here, but Anthony Bauer does just make it through. But don't forget here, Jamie Callan on the soft tyres, so he'll have a lot more grip and speed in these opening few laps. So expect him to race back past that Alfa Romeo very, very quickly. Another penalty for Michael Booker and another one for Fraser McKenzie. Another couple of penalties for those guys down there. They're in 16th and 17th. Gregor Pitts as well. He's running in the last points paying position, so he's going to drop out of that now. So lap 41, Callum Pitts as well from second. Expect to see Arthur in as well. We kind of followed Callum's strategy last time around, so it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him in the pits as well. Also Ant Waddington. They're probably all going to go for a set of soft tyres. Certainly Callum has. Does Arthur pit? Yes, he does. Arthur also pits from 3rd place. And yes, look, already Jamie Callan is he's ahead, sorry. Already he is ahead of Anthony Bauer. So Anthony maybe regretting that decision of not just staying out a few extra laps and getting onto those soft tyres as well. So Ant Waddington stayed out. So he's now up into 3rd place. About 4.5 seconds clear of Arthur. But I still think Ant surely will be pitting again. So that will see him probably drop, or definitely drop behind Anthony Bauer as things stand. Could be close with Dean as well at the moment. He won't want to drop behind Dean. So now the question is, can Jamie catch Arthur in what I think will be the battle for the final podium spot? They're 9.5 seconds apart at the moment. That stint on the soft tyres in the middle of the race for Arthur's really given him such a big advantage. 9.5 seconds, as I said, and he's on the same tyres now as them, so there's not going to be a massive advantage for them. So meanwhile, Stephen's lead is now out to 45 seconds, and I think he might be going to the end, so I don't think he's going to be stopping again. He's already made 2 stops, of course. But let's see how much, or if at all, Callum can close that gap down in the last few laps. At the moment, Stephen's got the fastest lap. can Callum snatch an extra point away from him. And Waddington pits from what is currently 3rd place. So Arthur retakes that position. Jamie Callan will quite easily take that as well, as I think will Anthony Bauer. Nice shiny new set of softs going on the Toro Rosso. Yes, Anthony Bauer does get through, because we saw how quickly Jamie Callan caught and passed Anthony on the medium tyres. So don't be surprised to see Waddington doing the same. The difference here now is for Jamie is that he's now got a nice bit of a buffer between himself and Ant Waddington. And at the moment as well, Arthur Bowler is showing he's got some tremendous pace as he's actually pulling away from Jamie. So that battle for 3rd might not be materialising here, because Arthur Bowler is pulling away very, very nicely. So on lap 43 now for the leaders. Everyone up to and including Elijah in 8th place has been lapped, and Dean isn't far away from being lapped either. Callum does take the fastest lap of the race, a 1:35.4, and he actually took 3 seconds out of Stephen on that lap. And let me just do a bit of maths here. 14 times 3 is 42 seconds. If he can carry on catching at 3 seconds a lap, you know, it's not inconceivable. He could be there or thereabouts with Stephen. I don't think he will, because I don't think those soft tyres have maintained that pace, but that could be an interesting thing to watch out for here. 3 seconds he took out of Stephen on that lap. If he can continue to do that, keep an eye on it as the race progresses. Michael Booker picks as well. He's in 15th position. I have to say, very impressed at the moment. We've only had the 1 retirement, and that was right at the start of the race with Jimmy. I think the McLaren going slowly off the line, which was Andrew, caught him out. And Stephen, well, he's answering it. Look, he's pitting. So Stephen Harrison pits from the lead. May as well. He's got more than a pit stop in his pocket, and then he can go and try and get that extra point back for fastest lap that Callum's just taken from him. Won't be too happy to see Fraser coming back out in front of him, but Fraser should let him through fairly easily. So lap 44. 12 laps to go after this one. Stephen leads by, the gap will come down to about 20 seconds or so, or just over 20 seconds over Callum. Arthur, I can't get over the race he's had from 18th on the grid, don't forget. He's up into a podium position. Surely this is going to make the manager sit up and take notice of him with a stunning drive. Jamie Callum is 4th. He's driven well as well. He started 4th. He's still 4th. Anthony Bauer is 5th, also where he started. And Waddington is 6th. He started 3rd on the grid. Dean is 7th. He started 12th, so he's made up 5 places. Elijah is 8th. He's made up 5 places as well. Joe Newman is 9th. He lost 1 place from where he started. Jamie Keats is 10th. He started 7th on the grid. So he's lost a few places as well. But we're heading into the last few laps now. We've seen in quite a few races here in this league. The last few laps where the drivers get a bit complacent or pushing for that extra bit of time for fastest lap, whether inside or outside the top 10. Mistakes can be made. We've seen it a few times. We saw it at Singapore, certainly. Will we see any here? The closest battle on track at the moment, there's a few going on. Jamie Keats and Gregor are fighting over the last point at the moment. Jamie's on 42 lap old tyres, trying to get to the end. Gregor's on almost new softs, but it's almost not worth Gregor getting into the top 10. So if he finishes 10th, he'll only get 1 point. At the moment, he's got the fastest lap outside the top 10. So he'll get 2 points, so it's almost worth Gregor staying there, actually, in 11th position and picking up the 2 points. Because they're quite a long way behind the next competitors. It's not like he can move up the field much further. You wouldn't have thought. This is the fight on track at the moment. Anthony Bauer 5th, Ant Waddington 6th. Anthony Bauer had to pit a little bit earlier and went on to the medium tyres to get to the end. Ant Waddington made his tyres last lap a little bit longer and he's on a set of soft tyres, so this should be candy from a baby really for the Toro Rosso. Anthony Bauer is trying to fight it. Not quite enough straight line speed in that Toro Rosso. And Anthony Bauer not parking it nicely in the middle of the track there, not really giving Waddington anywhere to go. So this is the fight for 5th place. Dean is catching them quite quickly as well here. He's only 2 seconds behind them in 7th place. There, you'll just see the Mercedes there. He too is catching them. Fastest lap of the race from Stephen on 1:34.6. So he takes that extra point away from Callum. So Ant Waddington is here. I think if he can get past Anthony, he should have the pace on those softer tyres to stay ahead of Dean, but he'll be desperate to get past that Alfa Romeo now with Dean closing in quickly. Let's see how he can do. Oh, and Ant Waddington going one way then the other. We've seen him do that a couple of times. He's got more traction around the outside. And I think he's going to make this stick up the inside. And yes, he does. Ant Waddington moves into 5th place. He gets past Anthony Bauer. He made that Alfa Romeo as wide as he could for several laps. But finally, the extra grip and traction on those soft tyres on the Toro Rosso made all the difference. Now, can Anthony hang on to 6th place? There is Dean closing quickly on the medium tyres as well. So Anthony Bauer's going to have another fight in his hand. Meanwhile, the battle for the last podium, there isn't really a battle going on here, because Arthur's pulled out to 14.5 seconds clear of Jamie Callan. So only a mistake, really, you would think would cost Arthur a podium here. What a race. He's had on lap 46. Stephen, well, makes another blistering fast lap of 1:33.8. What a lap time that is. But Anthony Bauer now with Dean right behind him. This is a battle. He's still hanging on to Ant Waddington as well. He might just get the DRS down this straight here, actually, which should just keep him ahead of Dean for this lap. Dean's definitely got the DRS, but the Alpha didn't. But Dean not close enough this time to make a move. Yellow flag in sectors 1 and 2. I'll try and find out. I think that's Jamie Keats off. Yes, it's Jamie Keats off in those S's, and look at the damage to his front wing. So he was in a battle with Gregor, but Jamie Keats now is off. I mean, 44 laps. It was a brave effort on these tyres. He's going to have to stop now. He's got so much damage to his front wing. Look at that, both end plates gone. Some of the other parts of the front wing have gone as well there. So he's going to have to stop, and that's going to drop him down at least 2 places. Meanwhile, Anthony Bauer again doing a good job of making that Alfa Romeo as wide as he can. He tries to hang on to 6. It was looking so good for him early on, wasn't it? He was up in 2nd place, driving brilliantly, but he's just not quite had the pace, especially towards the end of the stints. He's fallen back as a result. Now he might be looking at 7th place in this race when a podium looked possible for him earlier. Let's have a look here. Dean with a good exit this time. There's going to be a lot. That's actually a very good exit out of that corner. And I think he lets his hold on again. Well done, Anthony Bauer. Again. To retain that 6th place. It's another penalty for Fraser McKenzie. Jamie does pit from 13th position. He'd fallen behind Kieran and Ross. Andrew also pits. But here we see this battle going on. It's good news for Ant Waddington. He's got a 2-second gap now over these two. So that limits the amount of pressure that Dean could put on Ant later in the race. That Alfa Romeo does seem to be getting good traction, but I think this time, surely Dean with a DRS seems to be so good in a straight line, that Alfa Romeo, though. That Mercedes just cannot get anywhere near him. Dean's going to go for a lunge up into turn 1. And he just about sees him coming and gives him the space. And Dean, with a brave move, takes the position. That was brave there. When you do that kind of move, you're totally putting your race in the hands of the other drivers there. Because Anthony could have turned into that corner and then claimed he hadn't seen him, but he gave him the space. And Dean up into 6th place. Now can he close in on Ant Waddington for 5th, who is just under 2 seconds up the road. I think that Mercedes should have the pace to do that. Even though it is on harder and much more worn tyres, you should just about have the pace to do that. So race order on lap 49 now. Stephen Harrison leads from Callum Harrod. Arthur Bowler is a brilliant 3rd. Jamie Callan is 4th. Ant Waddington 5th. Dean Harrison is 6th, just ahead of Anthony Barrett. Actually coming back at him a little bit there. Elijah is 8th. Joe Newman is 9th. And Gregor is in the final points paying position at the moment, in 10th position. At the moment, as it stands, Stephen Harrison gets the extra point for the fastest lap. So he'll be getting 26 points in this race. And for the fastest lap outside the top 10 of the cars still running, that is currently held by Kieran on a 1:36.3. So he will be getting an extra 2 points at the moment. But Gareth has just one on a set of soft tyres, so he'll be going for that. No doubt. Everyone up to and including 8th place Elijah has been lapped. Actually, these 3 aren't that far away from being lapped by the leader. So that, of course, will shorten their race by a lap. So let's see if Stephen can catch these 3. It'll be very impressive to lap 5th place in the race. Shows how dominant Stephen's been in this race. His lead, by the way, over Callum now is up to 33 seconds. So Callum just hasn't had the pace of that Mercedes all weekend, has he? We saw it in qualifying, half a second off the pace. And here in the race, but they're both on the same tyres on a similar wear, that Ferrari's definitely got an edge. So, Ant Waddington now just about, well, he's lost a couple of tenths to Dean. Dean hasn't given up on this one yet. And I think Dean, given the problems he's had both in qualifying and the race, I think 5th place, he'll be delighted with that. Started 12th on the grids, as we said earlier. And Fraser's got a penalty for ignoring the blue flags. So we did see him earlier give Callum a very hard time. And now he has been penalised with a penalty. And a few others as well getting penalties here as well, as Ant Waddington laps the Haas. That is Thomas Edwards, who's a long way back in 18th position at the back of the field. He's had a terrible race, I'm afraid, Thomas. So look at these two now though, less than a second between them. Dean Harrison trying to take 5th place. He could yet get some help from his teammate. Don't forget, if his teammate does come through to lap them, you can just see him in the background there. Not far behind Anthony Bowers' Alfa Romeo. You see him, not quite see him, but he's not far away from lapping this lot. And if he can catch up to them in the last 5 laps and lap them, possibly Dean could try and use that to his advantage. Might be a big ask for him to do that, but you never know. You've seen what incredible pace that Mercedes has got. So he could ask him to unleash that and help his teammate to take 5th here. But at the moment, Ant Waddington's got it covered. Lap 51 for the leader. Stevens' lead is now up to 36 seconds. I think Callum is just cruising to the end now. He's losing a little bit of time to Arthur, but that won't worry him. He's just making sure he makes it to the end without a mistake. To pick up another 18 points for second place. So where is Stephen about to cross the line? There he is. To start lap 52 of this race. 56 lap race. So just 5 to go, including this one. And it's just been a walk in the park for Stephen, hasn't it? Right from turn 1. Callum thought about a move into turn 1, backed out of it, lost a couple of places. As a result, got stuck in the traffic. And as a result, Stephen Harrison could just waltz away. And he's led practically the entire race, apart from a few corners after his first stop when he came out right behind Callum and then instantly overtook him within half a lap. It's been a stunning drive from Stephen. Let's have a look at the battle for 5th going on. Being not quite close enough this time. And pushing hard here to hang on to 5th position. Another strong result, whatever happens here for Ant. Another very strong drive. Yellow flag in sectors 1 and 2. Let's see if anyone's gone off. Can't see anyone off, so maybe just a back marker getting it. Oh yes, that's Fraser McKenzie well off the racetrack. And Jamie Keats has retired. Was there contact between those two? Because Fraser McKenzie was a long, long way off the racetrack there. Such a long way off. I don't know if there was contact between those two. There is a bit of damage on Fraser's car. So maybe there was. Just trying to see where Jamie actually retired. Because I think it was in the same area. So maybe there was some contact there. Gregor gets past Joe Newman and up into 9th place. So he gets a couple of points for that. And no, it appears it was in the last couple of corners actually that Jamie retired, so maybe there wasn't a problem there with those two. Either way, lap 53 now. Stevens' lead is out to nearly 40 seconds. Kieran's pitting, so he's going for the fastest lap outside the top 10. He might just come out ahead of Ross. But that is what Kieran is going for here. So he's in 11th, he's not going to get any points anyway for that. And another penalty for Fraser McKenzie, and he's retired from the race. A penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and Fraser McKenzie with another retirement. He was running reasonably strongly at times. He was up into 12th place at one point. But Fraser McKenzie retires from what was 16th position, and he will probably, because I don't think Thomas Edwards will have time to unlap himself, so... This is your leader, Stephen Harrison, still just circulating on his own as he has for the whole race. Had an over 2 second lead at the end of lap 1, and no one's been able to get anywhere near him ever since. Just been so fast. Let's go back to this battle here for 5th. Here we go. Ant Wallington, Dean Harrison. Both have such contrasting races. They're dropping Anthony Bauer. Of course, if these two make contact, we saw in Singapore Dean go for a couple of rash moves on Callum and came off worse, so Anthony Bauer's close enough where if they did make a mistake or one of them spins off, he will gain another position back again. So Ant Wallington just has that car set up so well. It's got brilliant traction. Out of the corners, but Dean this time has got the good straight line speed, and Dean Harrison, nice, he goes up the inside, slightly outbrakes himself, and it's going to try and come back at him around, trying to do the cut back, but I don't think he's going to be close on what speed he carried there though, and he's still got the inside line, and Ant Wallington still hangs on. Dean trying to go around the outside. Look at this, wheel to wheel for about 5 corners here, and Dean Harrison finally makes it stick and moves into 5th place. I think that Mercedes will just about be quick enough now for him to pull away. from Ant. Unless Ant can get him on the pit straight immediately, he will get the DRS, of course. He's close enough behind. Is he going to be close enough? Has he got enough straight line speed to have a lunge at that Mercedes? I don't think he will. And Ant isn't that kind of driver anyway to do a reckless lunge. And yes, he proves to be right. And stays behind. So Dean Harrison up into 5th. He's 5 seconds behind Jamie Callan. I don't think he's going to have enough time to catch him. But here is Stephen Harrison on his way to a stunning win. And he's just lapped Anthony Bauer in 7th place as well. So he is catching these two to lap them on the second to last lap. This is the battle for 5th place, still raging on. Dean weaving down the straight to try and break the toe and the DRS. If he's doing that, you'll cost yourself straight line speed. And look, Anthony's closing up. Well, a little bit naughty there by Dean. You are supposed to just stick to one racing line, but Dean was weaving a lot down that straight. And possibly something for the stewards to look at later on, but at the moment it's kept him into 5th place. He's not catching Jamie, so I don't think he's going to have enough time to do that anyway. There, you've just seen the McLaren there entering the pit straight. So they're starting their penultimate lap now as Stephen Harrison, the other Mercedes, here he is, starts the final lap of the race. Well, stunning drive from him. I will just very quickly go with driver of the day. A lot of candidates in this. Definitely Stephen out front is a strong candidate for it, but I'm going to give driver of the day to Arthur Bowler from 18th on the grid. He's kept himself out of trouble and he's now looking like he's going to get a podium, and had some brilliant pace throughout the race, especially in the middle stint on the soft tyres. Had some absolutely brilliant pace to pull away from the cars behind him sufficiently, and even now he's 20 seconds clear of Jamie Callan now. So driver of the day for me is Arthur Bowler in 3rd place in the Renault. Great result for Renault as well to get a podium here in a track but they probably weren't expecting to do too well because of their power disadvantage, which was also another factor to think about there. So brilliant race from him. But Stephen Harrison has had a brilliant race too. Great pole position lap, half a second clear of the rest of the field. Kept his position nicely in turn 1 and just hasn't looked back since. No one's got anywhere near him in terms of pace, and but for a few metres on the track, he has looked largely untroubled. Stephen Harrison comes through the final corner, and Stephen Harrison wins the US Grand Prix. Great drive from him. Got a long wait now from Callum in 2nd place. Well, he'll still be pleased with that front row start, and he finishes where he started. But I think he will be a little bit disappointed with the lack of pace compared to the Mercedes. So, Callum Harrod coming through the last few corners. Another strong drive, another podium finish for him. He's had so many in this league. Of course, don't forget, next year we are losing Callum to be a manager. So it's one of his last drives in the league. Callum Harrod comes home 2nd. Well done, Callum. Here is Arthur, my driver of the day. What a drive. He will be delighted. From 18th on the grid, after a terrible qualifying, he's kept himself out of trouble all the way through, and the result is he's going to come home 3rd. Here he comes, Arthur Bowler. What a drive. 3rd place for him. Jamie Callan's driven well as well. He's only 2 seconds clear of Dean on this final lap. Dean's really pushed hard in this final lap, and Dean has closed the gap right down, but Jamie Callan is going to hang on for 4th. Ahead of Dean just about. And there is Ant Waddington, the last car on the same lap. He comes home 6th. But actually, with the penalties that have been applied to Dean and to Jamie, Ant Waddington finishes 4th again. Great drive, and those penalties added, like I said, has lifted Ant Waddington up into 4th place. So just run through the order very quickly for you here. The points paying positions. If I can get them to load up. There we go. Stephen wins from Callum. Arthur finishes 3rd. Ant Waddington 4th after the penalties were applied. 5th for Jamie Callan. Dean 6th. Anthony Bauer 7th for Alfa Romeo. Then Elijah in his first race finishes 8th. Gregor 9th in the second Red Bull. And I'm also really pleased as well to see Ross Pilgrim from 16th on the grid. He brings home a point for Williams in 10th place. Kieran 11th. Joe Newman 12th. Andrew 13th for McLaren. Didn't have the great race there. Michael Booker 14th. Gareth Lambourne 15th. And then 3 retirements and 1 non-classified. Fraser McKenzie retired. Jamie Keats retired in the Toro Rosso, as did Jimmy very, very early on. And Thomas Edwards had a difficult race. The point for outside the top 10, I believe it went to Kieran. He did a 35.7, so good lap time from him right at the end. I'm going to try and get the top 3 now in for the podium celebration. Let's have a look, see if we'll have a quick interview with the 3 of them. Let's have a look. So there's Callum invited. Let's see if I can get everyone else. So I believe I've got Callum in here, and now I've got Arthur as well. Just waiting for Stephen. If you two guys can just make sure your audio is included, please, so the viewers can hear you.
All done, I think.
Cool. So, waiting for Stephen, but Callum, second on the grid, finished second. Not a bad day's race in the end.
No, it was alright really. Second was best I could hope for, to be fair. I mean, you saw the pace of Steve. I was his teammate here last year, so I know how quick he is around here, so I was expecting him to sort of walk away with it, but not quite like that. He absolutely smashed it today, and if I wore a hat, I would definitely take it off to you. Well done, Steve, mate.
Yeah, I mean, you had a bit of a look up the inside of him in turn 1 at the start, and then you dropped back a couple of places, and I think that really sort of affected your race quite a lot, didn't it, really? It did slow you. You lost a lot of time in those first few laps behind, I think it was Anthony Bauer and someone else in the early stages.
Yeah, Anthony Wallington. Yeah, I would say I had a look at the inside and spun my wheels up a little bit on the exit. It massively compromised me. Both the Ants and Steve obviously got a good exit, and I got stuck behind the Ants, and yeah, because they were battling, I just couldn't find the way through. So by the time I did get past them, Steve was already like 14 seconds up the road. So at that point, I knew I just had to settle for second. But yeah, Steve absolutely dominated all weekend. So yeah, fair shout to him.
Yeah, Stephen, you must be delighted with that win. I mean, you absolutely dominated. 40 seconds, one of the biggest margins we've seen in the league. You must be delighted with that race win.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it actually. It was tough. I was zoned in quite a lot, and the first stint I was heavy on fuel, and that's where I picked up my first penalty. And then the second penalty, I just zoned out for a minute, going into S-bend, and like my car veered right off the track, got a warning, come back on, went through there so slow, still managed to cut a corner by like an inch. And got my second penalty. I was proper zoned out. Like, But yeah, that was a good race.
Well, what's your secret around here? Because you absolutely dominated. You were half a second faster in qualifying. I'm sure everyone's dying to know what's your secret around here.
I was just saying to the boys in chat, like, it's not my favourite track. It's not one of my favourite tracks. I don't know why I have such good pace around it. It's insane. I really don't know.
Well, it was a brilliant drive. Well done. Totally dominated the race. Moving on to Arthur. Well, I don't know if you heard on the stream. I made you my driver of the day. First podium, 18th on the grid to come home third. You must be so pleased with that result.
I got a podium last week as well, so it's my second podium.
Oh, okay. I wasn't here last week, so I didn't realise that. Sorry.
It's alright. I don't know how. There was a massive pile up on the front straight in the first lap, and I was lucky I managed to get through, and I was P7 after the first lap, and after that it was just a matter of picking my way through and building a gap.
Yeah, you had some brilliant pace in the middle stint. I mean, you went onto those soft tyres and you were absolutely flying, weren't you, in the middle part of the race?
Yeah, obviously fuel load came down. I had a lot of fuel left anyway, so I was burning that in the second stint because I tried to conserve it on the mediums. I did have a look trying to put the mediums to 38 laps. Because when I boxed, it was already on 35%. So I did think about stretching them. But no, we went for softs, and yeah, had the pace.
You certainly did. Great drive. Thank you very much, you three gentlemen. Again, it was a great race to commentate on. And we'll see you next weekend at Brazil. Not next weekend, in a couple of weekends' time at Brazil.
Cheers.
Boys, have a nice Christmas. Well done, Steve.
Alright, cheers,
Well done,
man.
Steve, mate.
See you later, boys.
Cheers, chap. See you later.
So thank you to everyone for joining me this evening. It is our last race of the year, so I'd like to wish